And we're back with another exciting installment of the Terrorisk podcast.
I'm here with my co-host, Karen Prince. I'm Chris Kim.
I'm the co-host.
No, he's the co-host. He's the host. He's the host. I'm the co-host.
Well, we're both co-hosts.
Co-host. Hosts.
So let's see. All right. Let's see. First, we usually start off with material concerns. Let's see. Everyone's hurting for money. I feel like people are getting fired and people are having trouble finding new jobs at the same time.
Yeah.
When two of those things are happening concurrently, it's not a good thing. That's the symptom. What's the cause of it? I would say automation is probably a big factor of it. I mean, you have companies, let's say the biggest one off the top of my fucking head, Amazon, who's during COVID years especially, and a couple of years leading up to it and a couple of years following, big ass companies like that were fucking hiring left and right. They were like, oh yeah, I think it was when Biden became president. Biden really pushed that. Look at how many jobs we created. Look at all the employment. The employment's going up. Everything's going up. Number go up. Line go up. And and there was like a huge influx of Americans getting hired, but like that all those jobs are essentially like bullshit jobs.
Yeah,
they were like boxing shit at an Amazon fulfillment center. And now that especially those jobs are literally getting outsourced to robots, it's like, well, they're fucked now.
A lot of things outsourced overseas. You see it in all telecommunication. India seems like it's poised. India is poised to be the Mexico of the entire world.
Meaning what?
Except for like China. By which I mean they like apparently now in Russia, especially since the war started, in Russia there's a shit ton of Indian dudes doing like delivery driving, manual labor, shit like that. India has a huge population and they have, I don't know the exact numbers, but they have a disproportionately high number of men because of sex selective abortion. So there's a bunch of
military aged males.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're also Indians, so they're not going to commit terror attacks like, Muslims. They'll engage in like, local feuds or whatever. Or they'll see a Muslim and they'll like yell at him and try to slap fight him, but only if he's Pakistani.
Well, if they're smart, they'll do what China did, which is throw them all in the fucking military.
Yeah. When they can have like Bollywood dance routines on the Pakistani board.
I think the smartest thing. I mean, that's the funny answer. Yeah, of course. That's the but
that's also accurate one. I've given Indian military parades. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, that too. The Indian military.
I'm sorry. I'll be serious. Go
on. I don't want to. I'm not saying I want to be serious. I just cracked open a fucking bottle of wine for fuck's sake. But what I was going to say was that. Actually, you know what? There's really nothing serious about a heavily militarized India. Like, what?
I'm sorry, it's not. They're. I actually like Indians. A lot of people hate on Indians, but I like them. But they're goofy people.
It's like
part of the caste system is that they had like a minority of real hard badasses, like the Punjabis, the Sikhs, but like most of them are just goofballs.
That's true. That's really funny.
Like.
The most serious Indian will just like take you on a really bad date and you shove his fingers in your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, they do have like a tiny minority of like Punjabi Sikhs who actually are like badass guys. I used to have some like Nepalis. I'm sure there's a few other groups like that. When they have fights in that Himalayan mountain pass with the Chinese, like inevitably, like the post-casualty and like the rewards afterwards, it's a bunch of like skinny fat brown guys who got killed by the Chinese dudes, and then like, oh, this guy beat up a bunch of Chinese. It's always like this tall Northwestern Sikh in the after action reports where they have their melee brawls.
And that's
what you see on the Pakistan-India border is what you can expect from the Indian military a lot of the times. A lot of silly pageantry, self-aggrandizement.
Well, they got nukes, right?
They do have nukes, yeah.
So what else do they need?
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, the most likely. I'm sure there's other cases that did demonstrate it, but one of the only in Deus Ex, the original Deus Ex, it's mentioned in a background detail that there was a limited nuclear war between India and Pakistan.
Right.
And I thought, I'm surprised why that doesn't happen more often as a story beat or a story plot point, because that feels like the most likely nuclear exchange that could happen.
Yep, but the actual reality of the situation is a lot more bleak and a lot more, shall I say it, banal. The truth is, companies just overhired and are now drastically reducing their workforce, not because they're not making enough money. No, it's because it's literally cheaper for them to just get rid of people based on a variety of factors. And when I say a variety of factors, I mean if you're like, whether you're a low level, mid level, or senior level employee at a given company, like a tech company. Amazon is technically a tech company.
Yeah.
So you get a case of where all the entry level, the junior ticket jobs are all getting run out because those are the first jobs that are getting like outsourced to technology. And then, you need like the mid-level and the senior level guys to actually do like executive work or executive functioning in the systems. So, but then the problem is it's like there's also the inflationary factor of our money, and that's really getting worse exponentially by the year. So you have people who are older, who were retired, who can't afford to live because retirement just isn't cutting it. So they have to now go back to the workforce. And usually their skill set is based off of outdated systems and outdated technology, outdated frameworks of doing, commerce, I guess. So they're basically fighting over entry level jobs too. And also, like post-COVID, like the people who were struggling to find work, a lot of them are still struggling to find work, especially in the creative fields even, the writer strike that happened. So yeah, it's like everyone's fucking hurting right now. And
did too many people have jobs before COVID? Because so many jobs are already bullshit jobs. The U.S. government, to a certain degree, operates as a jobs program. A big part of it is the jobs program.
Before COVID?
Yeah. And as part of this, like, actually, we don't need that many people working.
Yeah. Yeah. There were a lot of people working bullshit jobs. No, that's absolutely true. And, there was the work from home business for 3 years and whatever. But then now, fast forward to now, where everyone's just like, again, things aren't looking good.
I know for a bunch of people, really loved working from home, the situation, but I think it probably revealed how much. I mean, like, I've known people who are job stacking and doing like 2 or 3 jobs, and because they really, like, you actually didn't need to have 40 hours a week devoted to this, and they're able to like juggle it relatively easily, except, you get some stress or confusion or like saying the wrong. I could see it definitely, even if you're working 3 bullshit jobs at once from home, I'm sure there's a mental strain of keeping them all separate. You accidentally refer to a coworker by the wrong name.
Compartmentalizing, yeah.
Yeah, compartmentalizing.
Yeah, sure, for sure. I agree with that.
I remember my friend Chris Shea, who I used to live with back in Astoria. Not a stoner, but he seems like a stoner.
Is that really the kind of thing, like at like 30-something years old, is that something you want to see yourself doing for the rest of your fucking life? Juggling jobs, juggling gigs? No, that's no way to live, especially like when you're trying to work less as you get older. The only way out of that is you have to, like, not you specifically, all of us, every average American, every middle class American, in the time when the middle class is literally evaporating. The only way to survive, the only reason why people don't get hurt from times like this is because they know how to buy assets.
Yeah.
If you find yourself being unable to like just make money from your job for like regular revenue and income just from working a job to like fill all your bills to make ends meet, then you're gonna have to think of something else other than just like A and B. You're gonna have to add like something else, like a C, like a third channel where your revenue goes to, so that it can turn into real money. Now, it's not like a special new skill. This is supposed to be like, this is old shit. Like, everyone was supposed to be taught this, but nobody was. Because boomers, I don't know, maybe they just weren't in like.
I think rich people often teach it to their kids.
Well, it's also like institutional access. You know, a lot of people didn't even know how to establish connection with like a brokerage to be able to funnel their money through, to be able to purchase assets. Even it's not like it's not like you walk into a supermarket and say, "Oh, let me get some Walgreens stock or whatever." Mm-hmm. But you know, like I was able to leverage it, get into that really easily because of the internet. I just so happened
as a retail investor, yeah.
I mean, even if you're not a retail investor, you could still invest in properties, real estate.
Yeah.
And if you've been in the house game long enough, you know how to fix it up and flip it and shit like that.
There's a bunch of millionaire next door types who are like boomers who did do that. And I'm sure some of them do properly teach the kids, but I know, I'm projecting too much from my boss. But he's expressed frustration he also only has daughters, but he's expressed frustration at being unable to get his daughters in their mid-20s or whatever into real estate in the same way he is. Yeah, that could be an age thing, could be a number of factors, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's pretty common with those type of people, that even if you're trying to teach like your son to, he's just disinterested.
He spoils him. What can I say?
Yeah.
He fucking spoils him. But that's like the fate of any guy who makes a lot of fucking money and has a bunch of kids, right? You know, you want to spoil your kids. I look at my rich, extremely wealthy boss, and this is gonna sound mad fucked up, but I was literally sitting in the same room with him and his like very young son, like I think he was like 10 or something, not even, like maybe 9. And he was telling him, it's like, you could get whatever you want. You know why? It's because you're rich. Don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. You're better than them. Mm-hmm. I was like, holy shit. This is what happens. Like, this is where it comes from. You know, like this is where that sociopathic nature comes from.
I know that actual old money people don't rarely or way less likely to have that problem with their kids.
Old money people have their own problems too, interpersonal problems. Are you serious?
No, they do, but they're way less inclined to spoil their kids that way.
Yeah. In fact, like, yeah, they're hurting too. Like there's because there isn't just the royal family and even say the UK. There are many people of like noble lineage with their own estates like scattered throughout. So I'm sure there are like many people of foreign interests like come in and purchase like old British estates and shit because they just think it's aesthetic and cool.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people don't know is that a lot of them have their own finance, because to like maintain such an estate costs so much fucking money. It costs so much staff, so much. You literally need people working on your home who live at your home because it takes so much work.
Yeah, I mean, it's a dynamic that it's less familiar. But if you read if you read a lot of 19th century novels, it's a very common thing. There's a bunch of people with like some really nice property, but it's in disrepair because
the rumor mill gets going amongst the rich people. Like say, oh, have you heard? The Cobblesworth family can't afford their hedging to maintain their hedges, or some shit like that. I don't know. It's like.
My understanding from like 19th and early 20th century stuff, it seemed like a British thing. Maybe they were still talking about it, but early 20th century stuff, like when you read like Jeeves and Wooster by P.G. Wodehouse, which I highly recommend, hilarious, charming interwar comedy, like right in between World War I and World War II. It's like all the characters are like aristocrats, and they're often kind of like decrepit. Well, a bunch of them are like living in apartments in like London or whatever, but when they go to the estate, it's in disrepair, and everyone's just like, yeah, everyone's place is like this. Many of the people we know.
Yeah. Contrast that to say Elon Musk, who probably never really owned a house or something.
Yeah, really, like some of our tech billionaires, whatever, they really are nouveau riche. You tell it from Elon Musk is the apex redditor, just has like has terrible taste.
Well, being tech rich is a little interesting because most of the time, the problem with new money, the most powerful examples of new money is that they're often criminals. They're often like dudes with blood on their hands, like actual blood on their hands, which honestly isn't saying much because if you really look at old money families, especially in Europe, they're all fucking gangsters. You know, whether they go back hundreds of years or, you know, more than that, even like they're all fucking gangsters.
Even without that, a lot of new money people are just very vulgar or very insecure.
I still think most of the time it's like the new money that stands shoulder to shoulder with like old money, they're criminals. They're all tied up in some crazy, insane like shit, wrapped like funneled through shell company after shell company where you wouldn't even know.
I don't deny its existence, but I wonder how many are and how many are actually just.
Well, because you're not looking at it as doing anything illegal. You're just folding an asset with its own legal parameters.
Oh yeah. Oh, by that condition, then yes.
It's all leveraging assets.
Mm-hmm.
And the tech billionaires, one of the biggest reasons why, like the tech money or the tech superpowers are so prominent, it's because they've always been in bed with intelligence agencies, the intelligence community. That's why they're
industrial complex, but
that's why they're allowed to thrive. In fact, they're necessary.
Yeah. They're also able to leverage the economy at a certain point in time and place. While the zero interest rates, there's a lot of venture capital free flowing around. Amazon was operating at a massive net loss for a very long time.
And AI is absolutely taking jobs. Like you know, from your perspective, you may not see that. You may still see AI as this crude fucking amalgamation of just like, you know, memories. And from a cultural lens, yes, that is absolutely true. But from a purely like from a perspective of a purely technical field of say like programming, like entry level to mid level programming.
Yo, definitely, yeah. Like AI is hitting programming very hard. It's hitting a lot of anything like writing copy is something that by nature is easy to take for AI to replace.
Sure. And it's not just that, but it's also like clerical tasks.
Yeah.
You know, because like especially since like so much office networking and infrastructure is built within just say like the Google economy, you know, with all just the Google apps like Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google PDF editor.
Yeah.
And then they even have their own server that could run scripts that connects all those services, you know, under your Google account. So you could literally use JavaScript to like automate like 2-3 jobs only 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is what I do. That's literally it. So like, yeah, some people say it's like, oh, you know, they got hit. For me, it's like been a lifesaver.
Yeah.
It's like suddenly I was able to leverage my value way higher because like, you know, I realized that they were sending my bosses were sending me tasks to do. And I was looking at the way they were asking me to do it, and I was like, it became clear to me that before they asked me to do it, they had a whole person doing it in such an inefficient way.
Yeah.
All I did was just like, I asked Gemini, I was like, hey, this is what I have to do with this data set, with these files in this drive file, this folder, and I got to send it out to these Gmail addresses. What's the most efficient and fastest way to do this, to automate this? And they just spit me up a JavaScript code, and I just ran it on Google Scripts, and it just does my whole fucking thing. So like I got that shit done so fast where they literally told me like stop, like slow down.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So that told me something, and I don't know, it kind of also it made me consider like why I would be the one who doesn't have any of the money, who's like working for peanuts compared to what they're probably making. It's like, why am I the one who figures this out? Like, because of out of necessity, probably.
Intelligence outside the box. I'm assuming other people they're previously hiring for this task or under previous conditions.
Maybe it's like an oration kind of thing. Like honestly, I could get really specific results out of AI because I know how to fucking talk to it. I know how to set parameters in my instructions. Yeah. I know how to like format my requests in specific ways. That's really key. You got to know how to use your words. Like, yeah. Whereas if you're talking to AI and you're like, it's like, yo, Ken's use makes this memes about Elon Musk and a big head. Like,
well, that works. It works pretty well for that. I think one of the things that fascinates me about AI is how much it's supplanted photoshopping skills. Like guys who used to be able to quickly Photoshop a wacky image together. Now you just have like Grok AI. You just have an AI image generated. Yeah. Like remember when you used to have like Something Awful would have their like Photoshop Fridays where they had various compilations where they would have like a prompt for people to throw together funny Photoshops. Now that's just supplanted by AI.
Yeah. I know for like the service industry, all like it's still always going to be probably like human labor based,
Yeah.
but there's probably going to be more sophisticated ways to prevent like money leakage.
Yeah.
Through the transactions. I mean,
Once again, administrative tasks are really supplanted by AI, or administrative jobs. I mean, look, in the 19th century, you had to employ a shit ton of clerks to get anything done. You needed basically people functioning as
data parsers, data formatters, data distributors, data mailers, network administrators, systems administrators. Yeah, of course.
And we actually had a growth of those kind of jobs in the 20th century, both because of like complexity of society, but also just people able to do the work, I suppose. But maybe for a long time, we didn't even really need that many administrators. And it was just like a job metastasization.
Well, what you're really talking about is like a scaling factor, right? It's like the whole point of any company is to what? Provide a service. So, if a company starts and they start providing a service, and then a lot of people start wanting that service, a lot more than they can handle, they have to expand. And in order to provide more service, they need more people to provide more service in their company. So there's that.
And then,
but if you could have provide that service with less people, like the same amount of service with not as much people you have to pay, then you're gonna fucking take it. You're gonna take that opportunity.
Yeah, it's interesting contrasting. I'm not sure I'm using the right terms. Knowledge work with like physical labor, because like technological advancement initially led to massive productivity gains in the material world. Like, if you actually, not Marx, but you actually read Marx, most of it is him gushing over what they
Automation.
call
Automated space communism.
Though at the time when he called what they called mechanization. But basically, it's like previously you need to have a bunch of people sewing something by hand, and they could be master craftsmen, but it still takes them a while to do it. And then you have various, I don't know what the names are, but various kinds of looms and shit that can suddenly make, in the 18th century could suddenly start making a lot more of a product than people working by hand could.
Yeah, a good example of this is a man's suit. Now, people look at a suit, they think it's like mostly like just two parts, like a jacket and trousers. But the truth is, to make like an actual proper suit, it takes like no less than I think like 255 separate steps in between, like measuring, cutting, finishing. And I like thinking about that because it seems like a lot, and from the complete outsider's perspective, you're like, oh my God, like that's impossible. I could never do such a thing. And then you could say, you know what, let's try it. Let's try making a suit. Then it's like, you're like, okay, now that I know the steps, read the steps, know it in theory, understand it, know the framework of the process, then I could say it doesn't seem so impossible. And then you get good enough at it where you actually develop your own craft for it. And then you're like, no way, there's no way I'm going to master this. This is too much. Like, like I know all the theory. I have so many hours of practice and I'm still not there yet. And that's like that's what the road to mastery feels like, honestly.
Yeah. All of this is, what are we looking at? This development with AI, it feels like it's an example of Moravec's paradox, I think is the name of it, which is, in short, contrary to your initial assumptions or beliefs, it's easier to get a computer to write a novel than it is for one to pilot a robot to be a fencer or a bartender. Like our spatial interactions, this takes up far more of the human mind, far more of our brain power. And it's what we've evolved for a lot longer than anything with like language or thinking or math.
Sure, yeah.
It runs contrary to earlier expectations, probably built off of the Industrial Revolution. Like in a lot of sci-fi, you'll have walking robots going around cleaning everything, but they're not like talking to you at length. It's actually the opposite. It's a lot easier to make a therapy robot than it is to make one that can walk in a curved line.
Yeah.
Whenever you see all the all the robotics demonstrations, where it's this shambling humanoid robot that can't really walk and it's actually on a very tight, scripted path, and if it deviates from it, it gets fucked up.
No, it's I totally agree with that vein. And in the same vein, I would say like on the other note, like yeah, that kind of makes AI like more lackluster in its manifestation today than what we would have expected from like previous predictions. But what really,
I'm sure, by the way, I'm sure there's some sci-fi that caught this dynamic. I don't know what it is, but yeah, now then go on.
I mean, for me, even without AI, before AI, I was into programming.
Yeah.
It just seemed like, I mean, it seems a lot less like gobbledygook to look at now. Like I could actually look at the syntax and see how the syntax is arranged to create structure.
Yeah.
It's like this is this module and this is that module instead of just looking at a bunch of scripts. But like kind of learning that before I even heard about like language models kind of made me, like already look at media in a way where I didn't take it as much for granted. Like I would listen to like an electro song and I would be able to see the sum of it. Like I would see the parts that make up the sum. I would able to see it. It's like, okay, I see where this guy used the sample for the fill. I see where this guy just used one kick sample that just patterned it out differently for these bars. Like I see, I like to break it down like that. I like to understand what I'm taking in. Same with movies, same with books, even like an essay, like a well-structured essay. Like, everyone learns this in school. Like an essay is composed of what? An introduction, a body, and a paragraph. Boom. That's like one of the first literary frameworks you ever learn. And then you learn about poems and poetry and how they're divided into like stanzas and other words, whatever. I forgot what the other word. Verses, yeah. And you learn about rhyming schemes, which is basically the same thing as like, drumming rudiments. So, after learning about like, already learning things from the sound and trying to build a lot of shit myself, like trying to build a website, trying to build a fucking electro track, trying to build, like this podcast, this, like editing videos, you follow like structure. And if you could look at a thing, if you look at a thing in a structured way, suddenly these language models come out. And it's like, I don't just look at that and see like, oh yeah, make me a meme. Oh yeah, make me a book. Yeah. It's like, it's so much deeper than that. It's like, let's say I was trying to write a book. I would say, instead of write the fucking book, I would say, pull up the best sources or the best previous authors that actually touched upon this subject. Give me the ones that are alive today. Give me the ones with public, public contact info. Boom. I now have a contact list that I could contact myself without having to do like endless searches through bibliographies. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without searching through like bibliographies and footnotes and all that shit and trying to chase them down like through paper trails. No, I got language models to pull up resources for me. Or if I was trying to learn something new, it's like, I don't know anything about the programming language Go. If I want to learn Go, instead of saying like, yo, language model or AI, like how do I program in Go? No, I would say like, can you please provide a good study plan using public and free resources that I could follow, or tutorials, like the best ones. It's like you got to learn how to learn. Then suddenly AI becomes way more expansive and you actually use it like a smart person and not like a fucking slot maker, Or it's like, I don't have to make a whole fucking song with AI, but I could use AI to convert like my vocals to be Ariana Grande's, pitch corrected and everything, or whatever. Like there's novel ways to use these things. People are just too stubborn and scared to even consider it, or they're just too stupid. I don't know. But I'm not one of those people. That's why I'm not like saying like down with the clankers, down with AI art is not real art. I mean, yeah, sure, but like video games aren't really real art, and I still enjoy video games,
They're not art, but yeah. Few things come close.
I mean, video games contain art.
Yeah.
But like
assets.
But like so can a dumpster.
Yeah. Yeah, but the nature of video games, be it the interactivity and also the origin as a source of fun, really prevents it from being art.
Yeah.
And it's noteworthy that usually the examples that people give of video games as art, usually it's kind of like a sophomoric gimmick. Undertale is referential to a bunch of other video games, and its whole it's basically doing a BioShock surprise. You shouldn't have been killing these NPCs.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one gimmick that video games as art hit again and again and again. Otherwise, it can be like, feel like Metal Gear Solid can be verge or get close to it, but I think it's more that it's because Kojima ended up making video games instead of movies. And I think it's often the art-like quality is frankly more like a movie.
Of course.
And like, he certainly does a bunch of his fun gimmicks, more so than other people. He actually leans way more into it. But I don't know about how much of it is. Other examples, like Planescape Torment is a really well written choose your own adventure story. It's not really so much art as it is. I'm very happy I played Planescape Torment when I was like 12.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's certain like boys.
Don't worry, they'll remake it. They'll reboot it at some point.
I don't fucking care. I don't want to. There are attempts to. They did sort of attempt to do a spiritual sequel in Tides of Torment, Tides of Numenera, but just
I don't know. Baldur's Gate 3 was fucking baller.
that was baller. Yeah, that's true. In and of itself, very interesting in change of studios. The fact that like Baldur's Gate 3 has a lot of interesting qualities from inner conflicts that just happen to work out. Inner conflicts, by which I mean like it assembles all the companions are Tumblr OCs, and yet they're all pretty charming, and their interactions with each other and you, the protagonist, are pretty fun. So maybe it's a matter of competency of writing. But then also the fact that you would have whatever, the silent protagonist, there's almost a contrast where the protagonist feels more like an older CRPG protagonist, and then the companions are all Tumblr OCs.
Well, in terms of using like AI to actually for creative endeavors, I would say like instead of using AI to try to like disrupt your environment, like your art community, or using AI to try to leverage it somehow so that you could get ahead in the art world or whatever, or in the music world. Mm-hmm. I would say instead leverage AI to change yourself. Use yourself as the canvas. It's like it's kind of unbelievable that not everyone has figured out yet that with these language models, on a practical level with practical skills, like we're that much more empowered to all become like ubermenches.
That's true. Very true.
And if you leave it on the table and your life gets fucked up, you have no one to blame but yourself at this point.
Also, it's a brave new frontier, and people are still figuring out how to do it. But yeah, that's very true. It's also not something people talk about with AI. It's sort of like doing laundry used to take a long ass time before washing machines. I mean, it could still take time, and yeah, it's faster to just drop it off. But even just going down to the laundromat, that's so much faster than washing stuff by hand. And I've washed a bunch of clothes by hand because I had enough delicate clothes. It takes a long ass time to wash by hand.
Yeah.
Like, you just have so much more time in your life having a washing machine.
Yeah.
I mean, when you read about, when you think about, like, the past, but, like, when you just didn't have labor-saving technologies, like, when you're living in the Stone Age, by Stone Age, I mean, like, the most complex part of it, the Neolithic, like, having to, like, every single article of clothing has to be sewn by hand from plant fibers or from animal hides and leather. I'm sure it was meditative, but, like, every single tool is stone, and you're constantly having to pick up, resharpen, nap a stone even more. Like iron, like having an iron knife is so much more time efficient than having a stone knife.
So there's two types of technologies. There's inner technologies and there's outer technologies. A good example of this is when my friend Andreas was away at one of those like scared straight camps. Yeah. He was not gay, but it's like back then if you were just bad.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So they sent him to one of these camps, and they were doing this one thing where they gave you nothing. You had to live in squalor, like destitution, ultimately. Yeah. And you even had to like make your own eating utensils. So while everyone was like being made to make like spoons and forks and shit, he was just making chopsticks.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I know how to use chopsticks. So
Yeah.
it's like, that's something that you can't, you could take away my spoons and forks, but you can't stop me from knowing how to use 2 sticks to eat.
Yeah.
And it's more efficient in a sense because like they're easier to replace.
Yeah.
And no matter what, like you could just always pick up 2 sticks and hey, I got chopsticks. So I think like there is value to both. You just have to understand like what it is, and you can't just like look at all technology as this monolith. No, there is inner technology and there is like external technology. Internal
language is an inner technology.
What's up?
Is language actually? Here's a better question.
Language is like an inner technology, or mathematics, or programming.
I'm trying to think of the best example for.
It's all pattern recognition.
Like, yeah, it is. Yeah. Would you consider something like writing an inner technology, or is it outer because it's dependent on everyone? Like, you can develop your own writing script and maybe it, but for writing really to work, you need to be able to communicate with other people.
I think the use of words and writing to communicate is ultimately pretty what's the word? Pretty trite. It's kind of cumbersome because like it's proven that like we could use emojis to like communicate whole sentences that are like unnecessary to type out now.
I'm not East Asian, so I'd rather have letters than symbols and pictograms, but I understand the point.
Yeah. It's like saying like how like it's like a gorilla saying it's like, oh yeah, instead of using those words, I'd still rather just smack around dudes in my fucking monkey tribe and throw my shit at them. That's how we communicate. That's just what I'm used to. Yeah, I get it. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, exactly. Don't reverse. No, in reverse. I'm saying, I don't know. I'm just making a joke about East Asian language.
What I'm trying to tell
besides Korean, though.
What I'm trying to tell you is how bizarre the next steps of actual like evolved communication would be. Where it's like, okay, so there's this really crazy abduction story where this guy like, he gets abducted by aliens, blah blah blah. They look very human-like. Okay, whatever. But he said the most striking thing about them, despite like the different weird features,
was the lack of gay sex.
No. You want to know?
Yes, please.
It was the lack of speech and the lack of facial expression. And that really freaked him out because they were doing like somewhat like physically unpleasant things to him, like not like outwardly maliciously painful, but like things that you'd rather not have done to, but they were doing it with like a complete blank stare without saying any words. So this is why he thought he was threatened. He felt threatened because, to him as a human being who's used to emoting with words and facial expressions and, hand gestures and all that shit. Yeah. Who's used to that. You see this and then you get freaked out because it just completely goes against your norms of communication. Now, in retrospect, in later interviews, he specifically says, now that I think back, if we're talking about advanced beings, it makes sense that they would behave that way because if they could communicate telepathically, there would be no need for words. There would be no need for facial expressions. So, like that's how I imagine it, where it's like you telling me, it's like, I don't know, I just like the use of words and whatever and emoting. I get it. That's the same exact sensation. It's you don't like the idea of something so radically different. I don't even know if I'd like it either.
No, I meant I like words more than emojis for communication.
I'm not even talking about emojis. What I'm talking about is like being able to communicate without the use of words at all.
Yeah.
Intuitively. That's something that people I think are going to get better at, like, through psychic development. Like if you see humans in 2000 years later, by all intents and purposes, we could just be psychic enough to communicate without words. Of course, you wouldn't enjoy that because you like your things as you like them, but I do too probably. But what I'm saying is like that reaction, that response is like I get it.
I would have a period of time when people are using telepathy more and more. Excuse me. I feel like there'd be something. One interesting thing here also is by telepathy, you're not referring to like the popular media depiction wherein you're just talking to someone without moving your lips. Like when Professor X uses telepathy, he's just talking inside a person's head.
Yeah,
You're referring to something more like directly transferring or communicating
that
a thought.
I have
feeling,
no
a mood.
idea. All I know is that people in these conspiracy stories and interviews,
Go on.
every time they talked about coming into contact with these human-like but not quite human entities, they always come across this sensation of like something communicating with them telepathically somehow.
And are they describing it like someone speaking to you but no mouth is moving, or are they talking about a more like some other kind of communication?
All different kinds. Different kinds. There's some
interesting
there's some
to me,
cases where they're literally communicate like imposing an emotion on you, like forcing you to feel unpleasant fear, terror. There's other cases where it's like
you get abducted by some horny aliens that just make you really horny.
yo, seriously, like if they
You get abducted by the alien party
if they needed
bus.
to extract semen from you, they could literally say it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, you see me, but you don't see an alien. You see a hot, beautiful woman. You're having a dream, and you got a sick boner right now. And then they'll
I
make
would
you nut.
prefer. I think I'd prefer more of that. It's just like a gentleless little green man, but you're just really turned on by it.
Whatever you want, I'm sure they'll. That's the whole point of the psychic.
I know.
connection.
I'm sorry. Go on. Go
No,
on.
I mean it is wacky to think about. There's other cases where the guy was like, yeah, I was like at a casino hotel in Vegas, and I look to my left and I see the most beautiful people I have ever met.
Yeah.
They look like they were together, but they could have been siblings, but they could have also been the same people, gender swapped or whatever.
Yeah.
They were just the perfect looking people, and their clothes were pristine. And you know, they always use the words perfect for the clothing, but it's like I'm thinking like, I don't know, maybe it just never wrinkles. You made of some graphene composite.
I don't know. Maybe it's like a platonic ideal of an article of clothing. Like it's a greater than great version of it. Something not bound by our normal rules of physics or material science. That.
Yeah. I don't know, just these like picturesque.
Actually, I like the idea of like they're walking around and their clothes look like a 90s CGI
plug suit,
render.
Yeah, like some plug suit shit. But yeah, so supposedly, I don't know. I mean, so back to what really matters, what we're actually talking about, psychic connection. Yeah, telepathy. So apparently they experienced this from reptilian sightings. Like the reptilians could also communicate telepathically through thought. The Greys, the little gray aliens can do it. The Nordics can do it. The Mantis aliens can do it. So fucking A. I mean, if and humans probably can do it at some point. You know, like. I mean, you never just like glanced at someone and had like a whole like 1 second conversation.
Yeah, I think I'm bad at this form of communication.
Everyone has it. It's just like we got things.
I have, but yeah.
We got things like subliminal messaging and fluoride in the water to kind of calcify the pineal gland to prevent us from using our intuition to communicate with each other on a deeper level and just cerebrally.
Well, I did drink a lot of water, but I wasn't vaccinated.
No, this is the whole push for the autistic mental framework. It's not really a genetic thing. It's a mental framework that gets pushed on you.
Explaining, and it fits you into a certain path and way of thinking about yourself and thinking about the world.
So you're shut off from using your intuition to be able to communicate with your surroundings and other people that way. Which is something that, you know, like, which, you know, nowadays more and more people are being pushed probably to be autistic for that reason. We don't want
In
us
general,
we can't have this
everyone-
like sorry, I was
I mean, there's plenty of people who are sociable, actually pretty functioning, but they still seem less socially competent than people from the past.
I mean, it's like they say like speaking, you know, it's like a muscle. If you don't use it, it atrophies.
You know that like grip strength has broadly decreased? People just have more, like, even among bodybuilders, they have like a higher grip strength than a normal person, but unless they're only training grip strength, I don't know the exact numbers because, you know, it's multifactorial. There's plenty of cases where like a 20-something-year-old bodybuilder who's very strong has a weaker grip than like a 50-year-old guy who worked with his hands a bunch.
I kind of
a lot of arm wrestling champions nowadays are in their 40s or 50s.
I kind of wonder what it would be like if I, as a 34-year-old swordsman, fought like a 34-year-old swordsman sparred from like the year, I don't know, like 1600
Yeah.
or something. Like, I bet they would kick my fucking. I bet they would kill me. It's like, are you sure you want to do this? I'll kill you.
Yeah, I suspect that too. There might be actually a bunch of things that you're actually better at them at, technique-wise.
Or tricking them, like fucking with their heads.
Right. There probably would actually be a bunch of things technique-wise that you're better at, but other things not.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this before.
It's like,
with martial arts.
You never heard of Michael Jordan, huh? I'm in the zone.
Yeah, like we talked about this before with unarmed combat sports, where in a lot of martial arts just aren't overly practical due to a number of reasons, or just like innovate, like MMA. We were talking about MMA, about how when it started it was all these different martial arts schools from all around the world, and how it basically has refined to a point where every single person is some kind of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, hybrid guy.
Kickboxing,
Like there's 3 different martial arts basically. At the start it was like 30, 40 in a competition. I mean.
Well, yeah, like traditional martial arts versus combat sport martial arts. I would say the big ones.
I mean, like 90s UFC when they would have like a Salvatore going against, I don't know, a sumo wrestler or whatever shit they were doing.
Yeah.
When it was like blood sport. Now it's like they're all doing basically the same thing.
Well, I mean, that wasn't a natural core evolution. That was all like through rule enforcement.
Right. It's rule enforcement. And that rule enforcement channels it in a way.
Well, you need those rules to A, so that people don't fucking die, and B, so that like the sponsors can push their interests.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's going to be hard for Reebok to sell their shit when their star athlete gets pummeled by some fucking like some ape, out of their weight class or some shit. Like, no, they needed order to get involved with their money. So yeah, that's one of the big reasons. But usually in professional MMA like nowadays, it's some combination of wrestling is big. I'd say that's the biggest.
That makes more sense. Wrestling makes a lot of sense. Sorry.
No, and also BJJ is huge too. So it's wrestling, BJJ for groundwork. Then you got kickboxing. Then you got Muay Thai. Then you got regular boxing. And yeah, that's pretty much like.
So basically, it went from like, I don't know, 30 plus to 5 forms.
Well, I don't even know if it was 30 at first, because at first it wasn't even a lot. There was like still less fighters in the beginning, like if we're talking about UFC.
Yeah.
Before that, there was all sorts of shit.
That's true. But
all sorts of crazy shit. But yeah, I'll probably get my ass kicked by a 1600s era samurai, like 17th century. So yeah, with that concludes the first section. Do you want to take a break or not?
All right, now I have to. Never mind. I'll tweet this later. I just need to start writing it so that I knew what I was going to say. When I look at it in the future, then I'll be like, oh yeah, that's what I was going to say to finish this thought.
So at this point of the episode, I would like to get into. Well, this is where we talk about ideas.
Yeah.
And the logical framework that holds such ideas up, or that give people cause to grasp onto such ideas, or just like, I don't know, dicking around in general. I got an idea.
Go ahead.
If your life was a story, right? I mean, to preface this, I should say I'm like kind of playing with this idea that our lives are just like a series of recursive loops. You know, the hero's journey, how it's like, it's kind of like a circular motion. So like, whether it's like, our stories span like 2 days, months, years, maybe entire lifetimes. Every time we complete one in our life, we always just move on to the next one, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's a circle.
Yeah.
So, but that's just to preface this idea. Because, when I say like, oh, if your life was a story, what genre would it be? I don't want you to try to define it as like your whole entire life. Just the current story that you're living in, whichever phase of the circle you're in the hero's journey. What would you say is the genre of your current story?
Oh, in the hero's journey?
Yeah, in your current hero's journey. Because
probably the underworld.
The underworld genre?
Yeah. If I was going to say like a type of story or something more direct, I was just going to say my life's just Seinfeld. At least that's the way I like it.
So comedy.
Yeah.
So your life is a comedy. Your life is a comedy.
Yeah. It used to be more tragic, a petty tragedy, but now I think it's very thoroughly in comedy.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, like I'll try to. If
I also pursue it to be a comedy, I like it being comedy right now. I like my life being a comedy. So
I think my life is more of a. Right now, it's probably more of a slice of life anime.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of the drama you would see, most of the the touching points that you would see in my life are probably like between me and my cat.
Yeah.
You know, because like
I feel like your life's like a very long modernist novel with a lot of interiority.
nah, it's to me it's like
Can I see the wine, the corkscrew?
it's like a game. How we just discussed how like games are basically just games within games.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because like you know, there's just so many different circles, like little fucking mini stories going on. But like the one consistent thing is I always come home to my cat, and my cat always just hops up on my lap, and he's like, I'll be like, you wouldn't believe the day I had, and he'd be like, I chased a ghost in your kitchen. And there was like a bug, and there was the outdoor cats were out the window again.
Mm-hmm.
We should have screwed it in a bit more.
Mm-hmm. I swear to God, I don't use this kind of corkscrew, so I'm not used to it. I like the other ones, the wine keys.
No, you got to screw it in so the levers are up so that you can push it down. But
Whoops.
Yeah.
See, that's why I don't like it.
Give me.
Whatever. Yeah, I did not. You're right. I did not know. I fucking can't believe I forgot that. But yeah. Here you do it.
Oh my God, you left me with the fucked up.
Yeah, see, this is why I like using the other kind, because that I can use because I'm used to it. And this doesn't happen with them.
No, it's just I know how to use my shit.
Yeah, exactly. Those are objectively easier directly, but yeah.
You're not a very detail-oriented person.
That's true, I'm not.
You should be though. Everyone should be, because actually that's not true. I shouldn't impose that upon people. If you could get by on life without obsessing over details, and fucking good on you. Shit, who am I to argue?
So your life's a slice of life anime.
What?
Your life's a slice of life anime.
Yeah, and the most touching parts are between me and my cat.
Yeah.
Because with people, if I were watching my own life from behind a screen, like watching my interactions with other people, I would just think like, wow, this character Chris just always comes off as like so incredulous. It's like, but they would call me incredulous in social situations, because they would be like, I've seen you around your cat. That's not how you are. Like, when it's just you and your cat. So it's like people watching my show.
Oh, yeah, you're interacting with people, but yeah, fair. But no, I guess you could say you're.
It's like my Sarah Jessica Parker moments in Sex and the City, when it's like her most intimate moments are when no one else is around.
Yeah.
She's writing in her stupid fucking laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what it is. There's already a manga like this. There's literally this like manga series about a manga writer who's like a completely antisocial.
Don't you mean a mangaka?
A mangaka.
Oh fuck.
So
Okay.
he's a mangaka, and he's like so antisocial. He's like you would call him insanely autistic, but he's just like got social problems because his family got wiped out in a tragic accident, whatever. And manga is his only passion, whatever. And then he gets a cat. He adopts a stray cat, and the cat's like looking at him like, "Are you a fucking idiot?" Because the guy doesn't eat. The guy just like he just sleeps during the day and works through the night. So the cat becomes like the deuteragonist, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
Because they can't really communicate directly, but it's a touching show, and that's kind of how I identify with that with my life, because like ever since I got my own place, and it's not like I want to spend time alone. Like I still go out. It's just like, oh, before I go out, I have to like actually put in hours in cleaning my fucking bedroom, dropping off the dry cleaning, picking up the dry cleaning, picking up the laundry, taking out the trash, separating it with the recycling, fucking. Keeping my fucking apartment in order, my life together, pretty much. Like I got to make sure I get an oil change. I got to fucking take it to the car wash. I got to make sure my cat has all his shots. I got to make sure I have enough groceries in the fridge for the next week. I got to make sure my bills are paid. Like all that shit. All my work tasks and stuff. So it's like in that sense, I guess it could be like pretty less social, but then again, that's what cinema is. Cinema is pretty much like the most relatable forms of life, just with the boring parts cut out.
Yeah, it's an Alfred Hitchcock line. That cinema's life with the boring parts cut out.
Yeah, damn, Chilled Red is great.
Yeah.
So yeah, genre. Yours is a comedy. Mine's like a slice of life.
Yeah. It's funny because what I wanted to bring up It's also movie related, but a movie I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen Predator Badlands. The only reason I'm bringing it up is because
I don't care about the gay predators, the queer predators.
Yeah, exactly.
The queer
It's making me less
interracial-
interesting.
The queer interracial predators. I just don't care.
Well, I don't even know if that's true or if it's just a right-wing Twitter narrative, but it also seems to be one that Redditors are taking. But I was going to say, seeing Redditors call them yatchas really puts me off from the fact that I used to do that with a wink and a grin, saying like, "Oh, sorry, I've read a few Alien versus Predator comics. I know what the species calls itself."
Yatchas.
And it's like before I was doing it to be obnoxious, but this seems to be them just treating it as the woke choice is to call them yatchas.
Interesting. Well, I mean, what can I say? I mean, I'm glad that I'm just not in a rush to look for reasons to give a fuck about Hollywood.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't mind Hollywood. I definitely don't want to be such a jaded asshole where I'm like, fuck Hollywood. It's all goy slop. Blah, blah, blah. I hate all movies.
Those people usually the people that go off about that don't have any more refined tastes anyway, or they're not even really watching old movies. It's definitely, there's a right-wing thing of bitching about Hollywood, but then like their favorite movies are The Patriot and Gladiator. Which are great movies, but...
No, I think it's more infuriating that. I think it would be easy to make fun of him if it was The Patriot or Gladiator. But no, it's like The Lighthouse or fucking Heat, which are actually good fucking movies.
They're both good movies, yeah.
You know, like, so he can't even shit. I mean, look...
But what, pedestrian taste, but...
It's not I don't know. I don't even think Heat is that pedestrian.
No, Heat's a great movie.
It's
I don't
vintage,
even...
you know?
Yeah.
But I think... I just don't want to be that way. I don't mind if you are that way. If a person is, I hate all Hollywood, I hate all movies, I hate all shows. I'm like, fair enough. I'm still gonna watch some of this bullshit because I agree with you for the most part. You know, like
I love movies, so I don't watch streaming slop. But I don't know. I guess we're just choosing our different things to be snobby about, or things you don't have to watch it. You know, movie tickets expensive. It's gonna be on streaming soon anyway.
Yeah, what I do is
things you can do.
I'll watch like all the hype AAA blockbusters. I'll just never watch it when it's like at its hypiest. You know, I'll always watch it too late, and I'm perfectly fine with that because like basically I wait until like after the theatrical release when it's like available for streaming, then I can pirate it. You know, so that's nice. But yeah, like I still watch, I like to watch some of these shows, and I basically only watch like movies and shows now when I'm like working out. Cause like I do that like 6 days a week. So that's a lot of
right. Yeah. It's a lot of time. I really can't, unless it's something very abstract. I can't just put something on in the background. Personally, I'm a very devoted, focused watcher. So all the shows that are made to watch while you're looking at your phone, while you're cuddling with your girlfriend or whatever, I hate that shit. I can't do it. I can't do it.
If you had your own place, I'd want to hang out at your place all the time.
Yeah?
Yeah. If it was your own place with like no roommates, I'd want to hang out at your place all the time. It would be awesome. I'd walk in, you'd be like in an apron in like a 60s style like kitchenette area.
If I had infinite money, yeah, you're right.
It's like, oh, Chris, come on in. I was just finishing up a nice pot roast and smoking a cigarette. And it's like,
yeah, you're right.
Listening to like jazz records.
You're right. I would look like, you'd be like, is this guy gay or just refined? Though I guess I get that a lot anyway.
I wouldn't even think it's feminine. I think there's something, like I was thinking more so like, like European in the 50s, 60s, Even
that was very much a 60s bachelor aesthetic though.
Yeah.
That's all Mad Men shit, having that kind of setup.
Yeah,
that's very 60s American.
Yeah.
It's due to, if anything, it's due to American affluence, that lifestyle that was harder for Europeans or anywhere in the old world to do. It was something that suddenly a whole bunch of people in America could do that.
Yeah. And that's nice. I live that life, the modern iteration of it, essentially. I'm just not a madman. Actually, I'm just like the modern iteration of it. I feel like all the predatory institutions just cut out the middleman and went straight to money, dealing with the actual money. But that aside, like culturally, I don't know. I mean, I think men would be more happier if they were living the life I would. But sadly, like a lot of them are. I think a lot of the guys that are having trouble are the ones who are so worried about their psych meds. because that fucks them up. That takes up so much cognitive load. It's insane. Like to have to maintain like all those like SSRI prescriptions and your therapy sessions, and trying to find a job, especially if you're like still in your 20s.
But so you are. When I was on SSRIs, I just wasn't paying attention. Or like, maybe I just never took it seriously. But I was just like, maybe this might feel better.
And honestly, there's probably a statistic to back this up, but I'm assuming that guys who take SSRIs are also the kind of guys who are more likely to say, "Oh, I also have these back problems." And
I think there's just general comorbidity. Like, I think a lot of people perhaps would be inclined or could readily be recommended to do them, but their personality is all thug it out.
Yeah.
There is some selection effect going on of if you're high enough in neuroticism to be concerned about your mental health to take an SSRI, maybe you're also high enough concerned to be concerned about your back or whatever. Or maybe you do just generally have more ailments or issues.
I'm still like an I'll thug it out kind of person because like I talk to like people who are into like metaphysics, shamanism, spirituality, mysticism, and they're all telling me shit like, you should really stop smoking cigarettes. You should really stop drinking. And I'm like, fuck off, man.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I was thinking about this earlier about how like,
you know how much bad shit I already cut out? Like, fuck you, dude. Like, I'm doing really good, okay, compared to
a disproportionate number of people who are into spirituality get into a general like purity, clean living spiral. Right? Yeah. It's like how there aren't actually a lot of people who are only vegetarian. At least not, in India, there is. But outside of Indians, there aren't too many people who are exclusively vegetarian. A lot of people who, if you become a vegetarian for moral reasons, you are very inclined to slide into being just straight up vegan.
Yeah, whereas the Taoists...
And probably there's other factors too, like you're just a vegetarian, you're not adverse maybe to dating someone who eats meat, but actually it'd be pretty cool to date another vegetarian, but then it turns out the girl's a vegan, so you're still a vegetarian, but you're going to vegan restaurants, and pretty soon... There's like probably a lot of little steps that lead to that kind of sorting going on, if that makes sense.
For sure, because they're doing it for different, all different cultural reasons, right?
Right.
Yeah, like some are doing it purely for, again, like you said, moralistic reasons. Some are doing it for like some metaphysical, mystical reason.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was there's this cool Japan sometimes comes out with banger drama series, you know?
Yeah.
And like there was this one that Netflix got a hold of. It's called House of Ninjas. Mm. And it's what it's about. It's on the surface this regular modern middle class strictly middle class family. They live in an old house, and their secret is that they're a family of ninjas. And the story goes that since ancient times when ninjas were around, they haven't gone anywhere. They've still been warring with each other. It's just they've been working in tandem with governments, and they've been basically doing what like any private intelligence agency would do, except there's two main families left. The Fuji ninjas and the Koga ninjas. The Koga ninjas and the Hattori Hanzo ninjas, you know? So they're at war. And what was cool though, the main point of this is that one of the things that's required of a ninja, of a true ninja, is that you strictly cannot eat meat. No red meat. You cannot eat meat. You can't, I don't even think you could eat fish, but yeah, no meat. And the reason they gave in the story was because, you know, and they also can't drink. They strictly don't drink alcohol. They don't eat meat. And supposedly that's like the source of, like, part of the source of their power, which is interesting. But like, you know, when the grandmother talks about it, she tells the little kid, it's like, oh, we shinobi don't eat meat because you could, like, any trained ninja could smell the meat scent coming off of someone's pores, you know, maybe on like a subconscious hormonal level or something. If you were to have like a scientific understanding of it, which I thought was really interesting, because in a lot of warrior cultures, like spiritual warrior cultures, not like Mongolian, for example, but like, you know, like Tibetan warrior cultures or something, like Tibetan warrior monk cultures, they would say like, yeah, we don't eat meat because it weighs the soul down. It's, you know, it may strengthen your body, but it weighs your soul down. And if your martial arts is all about cultivating your soul, then, you know, it's going to fuck you up. Just very interesting. You know, it could all be like hypnagogic stuff or psychosomatic, but still, like, makes it real in any case.
Yeah. Maybe that level of devotion some things helps than others.
But
the level of discipline just ports over.
I prefer that over the moralistic lens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Or if it's religious lens, yeah, modern Western moralistic veganism.
Because
I
in
can understand
history-
the argument, but
Because in history, like people, like entire villages got wiped out because their warriors did not eat meat, did not have access to meat even to eat compared to their opponents. Whereas their opponents,
Yamnaya expansion in the Chalcolithic.
dude, so many samurai clans got wiped out in their warring periods because the mountain. Like it would be weird though. Like for example, the mountain samurai.
It's like a luxury, in many ways, a luxury brought on by peace.
But it changed their tactics as well because samurais from villages where they ate meat were bigger, stronger.
Yeah.
Whereas samurais from villages where they didn't have as much access to grazing land, they were smaller in stature, so they had to rely more on the environment and like archery and shit. But since they were from the mountains, like fighting for them was their own unique advantage. It was it's just interesting shit.
Anywhere in the mountains is a place where there's a lot of ethnic holdouts in mountainous regions, or people that are pushed to mountainous.
It's hard
regions.
fighting, man.
It's really hard fighting, and it helps the home turf a lot. There's a reason why.
If you're like some Arabic like terrorist sheik and you're on the run from like NATO, yeah, you gotta go into the rock formations where you blast holes in it and make networks of caves.
Yeah, I mean historically before munitions, yes, it's especially difficult. There's a reason why. You know, the Basques are like this ethnic holdout of the Stone Age in Europe. Like, they just weren't overrun. Like, that's the reason why Basque is not an Indo-European language. They're like people from the mountainous area of northern Spain. Their language is some holdover from 4000 BC, whereas almost every other European language is a Indo-European language that's like related to Proto-Indo-European from 3500.
I got a question. If you can master to like read and speak any language, read, write, and speak any language of your choosing right now, fluently, what would it be?
The practical answers are Mandarin or Spanish.
I was gonna say Mandarin.
Mandarin makes sense because you have a skill set. You can go to China. There's a lot of interesting things going on in China. Spanish because, frankly, I mean, the field I'm in, it's very helpful. Not very helpful.
New York
it's
City
helpful.
nightlife. Of course it is. It's helpful, huh? Oh yeah, I bet. Like New York City nightlife. Come on, you know how many fucking Spanish-speaking people are prowling New York City? Every single fucking night, willing to get like a fucking drink and a party, and maybe
on a purely small practical level, it's already easy enough to win them over.
I mean, can we just admit
you
that
just immediately win over every Latino who works in a bar?
Aren't Latinos like absolutely the most productive consumer demographic in New York City?
They're the most productive. They're most consistent consumers in America. A lot Hollywood blockbusters have been held up by Latinos in the domestic market. Like Latinos take their whole family to see every single MCU movie.
Yeah, it's true.
They take their families to see any horror movie that's not an A24 horror movie where it's a metaphor for trauma. Any movie about a scary ghost, the entire Latino family goes to.
They consume just enough slop, whereas every other demographic either consumes not enough of it or too much of it.
They consume a lot of slop and they do get heavy. But yeah, living the American dream. They're consistent consumers.
Yeah. So what would be the language you choose? Mandarin?
Honestly, I kind of want to go.
I should pick Japanese, honestly, because that's that's what I do. I do Japanese swordsmanship, and it would only probably help. But if I learn Mandarin, learning Japanese,
it'd be really interesting to speak as they spoke it and understand and read like Sumerian. Go very deep, and I mean we can translate things, but it'd be very interesting. And admittedly, almost every cuneiform tablet, the vast majority of them are just spreadsheets.
True.
Like writing, for a long period of writing's history, it was primarily for bookkeeping.
Yeah. Dude,
it'd be interesting to hear a totally dead language. Or to speak it.
I'm embarrassed to fail to realize just how important like spreadsheets actually were. I mean, look, I knew every business basically required some form of spreadsheet or another. I understand that. It's just, it wasn't until recently I had to do a specific task at my job where they wanted me to take data from in a spreadsheet. You know how data is arranged on a spreadsheet, right? You have
Yes.
your top columns and your vertical and your horizontal rows.
Yeah.
So since all that data and where the data was going and formatting was all within like the Google economy, I could just write one script. I could just do it all, automating it with JavaScript. And this is also supposedly what like Python is good for. Let's say like I had to use like native local software on my computer to do repetitive tasks. I would have to like write a Python script to be able to communicate and draw from like all the different things on my computer and to be able to automate the tasks. I would do it to automate the input and then get the necessary chain of outputs and all that shit. So I don't know. I mean, where was I going with this?
Spreadsheets.
Oh yeah, spreadsheets. Okay, so none of that usefulness will be possible without spreadsheets.
Yeah.
And in fact, like people talk about like all the conspiracy behind data collection.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, my data is being harvested, my data is being collected. What do you think that looks like? Like, what do you think it's like automatically like looks like? Just like, oh, now I could go into my nefarious powers that be database and pull up this name, Carmen Prince, and then suddenly you get your picture and then all your passwords to everything in your. No, it's what it really is. It's all spreadsheets. It's all like piles and like petabytes of fucking spreadsheets. And
It's often not your individual data that's useful. It is your data as a data point within a much larger thing.
now not anymore, because with the help of AI, now your data, all those spreadsheets that you generate that looks like gobbledygook to the naked eye unless you have an analyst or an analytical program to parse through it and format it correctly into graphs and, and pie charts and shit. Now you have AI where any asshole could do it. You don't even need to know like the fucking like R code, or you don't even need to know like the scripting language for these specific like data parsing languages and shit to have to do this. Like you just tell AI, it's like, yeah, write it up in this in this framework of like app services. It'll just do it. So, all right, basically, it's not just all like the power doesn't just all go to these nefarious corporations that utilize and leverage your data to like make custom algorithms of advertisements on your doom scrolling feed. You could leverage this too. Like if you I make my own spreadsheets for my own expenditures. I don't know if you guys do. You should, in my opinion. I don't know if I'm not going to tell everyone to make their lives even more like a fucking RuneScape game. But yeah,
I don't know. I mean, the fact that so many people play video games that are just spreadsheets. Every video game I've played is basically the video
EVE
games,
Online.
The video games I like are basically spreadsheet games.
So then make it out of your life, dude. Like
yeah, it's true. Yeah, like a lot of people do already. So
yeah, in the dojo, it's like a lot of it is looking at spreadsheets, like going through the attendance sheets and all that shit. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good to look at like these tools in this vein. Also, I don't know, like if you run like a small business, like an event planning business, you could automate all your email blasting. You could probably could do it all in your Google services. You don't even need to use Python or any native software on your computer. You could just do it all through like web apps.
It's really noteworthy how Google has provided basically
everything, the whole thing to run an office, the whole suite. It basically takes over the job of Microsoft Outlook.
Yeah.
It takes over the job of Microsoft Excel. It takes over the job of Adobe Acrobat. Well, it's trying to. It takes over the job of everything. Everything you could ever really need for office tasks, like
Office Suite, right?
The Google Suite, yeah, the G Suite. What they've renamed it thousands of times, but yeah, their whole infrastructure has everything. So
I don't know. Sorry, go on.
If let's say you want to run some stupid fucking racist like far right podcast, now you have an entire Office network of like apps and services that are free to any Google user, and now you could just do it. And on top of all of that, if you wanted to go ahead and fucking add like, I don't know, a website, go to like HostGator or Bluehost and get a little website for your shit too. Yeah, but that almost seems like redundant at this point because of like what you can do with just Google services alone. As long as you build a client list, like a list of people who could potentially give you money for your service, just that list is sacred. Keep that list and you have all the services to run your business wherever you go. And now you got a little robot AI buddy to help you automate everything.
Yeah.
As long as you have a Google account and access to any free language model that could run that could toss up these rudimentary like
This
scripts.
is a side note, and I don't know the internal nature of Google. It's interesting how Google is tremendously successful with this, with Gmail, and Google web search is fucking dog shit now, and Google has had so many failed projects. Like, they got the absolute magic touch when it comes to running an office, which is also what like everyone does in your own life, like administrative work.
Yes.
And then everything else are kind of, I mean, they own YouTube, right? So I know they own a bunch of things, but they have so much shit that's dog shit. They have a bunch of, but I guess any business has a lot of like failed projects. But it's interesting how the search engine itself has totally
They have
been
Android, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Now they don't even need Android because Google literally makes their own phones with the Pixel series.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's an interesting company.
because
Admittedly, their failures aren't as big as Meta's, as the failure of Meta.
I don't know how. Look, I just know what does a company really do?
Mm-hmm.
A company provides a service. Their job isn't to hire people. Their job is to provide a service. That's the whole
Yeah.
point of a company. And Google provides its services very well, and Meta provides its services not very well. Maybe, I don't know. I just know Facebook has.
Instagram is hugely successful. Facebook, I mean, look, Meta's whole thing, right? It's network effects because it's social media. So a lot of people, they own Instagram. So a bunch of people who have Instagrams but don't have Facebooks because Facebook is for old people now, or for millennials, so old people. Still use Facebook Messenger, largely switched to Instagram Messenger because more people I know are using Instagram primarily, but
I think Facebook is better because it's becoming like one of the last places of like authentic expression where you have skin in the game. Because you have skin in the game because it's your actual identity and your face there, but it's it's authentic because there's less and less incentive to like go viral on Facebook.
that's true. It's like a transitional step from the anonymous to the carefully cultivated public facing. There's something in between, intermediate about Facebook, huh?
Yeah,
Like both when it came out, the way people were feeling out the nature of it,
the way people meet over it.
Yeah, Instagram by nature is like what Facebook originally was intending to be, I think.
Instagram was more about like turning yourself into a human billboard.
Fair. Instagram, because it's purely video and picture. I mean, you have infographics, you have your app. It's also a change in the era, but because it's less textual, people are less angry on it than they were on Facebook, at least in my anecdotal experience. Something about the way it's designed.
What, X?
Well, X, yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Instagram.
Instagram versus
Yeah,
Facebook.
Instagram is more visual. It's more about the image.
Facebook be offering more, like offering the format of like long blog posts or whatever and long comment arguments.
Yeah,
and being able to like, and also is like, I'm thinking like 2012 probably through 2020, like maybe 8-year gap. Like just the nature of like the way sharing articles work. I'm sure there's some internal algorithm stuff going on, but the nature of like, in your feed, some clickbait article would come up and then you get into an argument in the comments with people, or you troll people in the comments. That's not something that happens on Instagram because it's purely visual, or way less so.
Yeah, I think
in fact, even like when I tried in the past to troll people on like public Instagram posts, I just didn't get like, maybe it's the people on Instagram, maybe it's the format, maybe it's the way it actually visually looks. I didn't catch as many bites.
Yeah, well, now it's
Facebook's a great trolling platform. In fact, the fact that you have skin in the game where it's attached to your real face probably actually made it easier to get engagement from other people.
Yeah.
Like, whereas when you have a totally anonymous account, a lot of people will be like, okay, this is some anonymous weirdo. But whereas when it's accompanied by my face and people, as you said, when you're arguing with someone on Facebook, they click on your profile and they look at public facing things, trying to grab something to insult you with. You're basically getting engagement on and off of that.
What's also cool, yeah, that's true. It's a win. It's like, you know, it's a win-win pretty much.
Well, I'm sure it was an internal design decision to make Facebook an inflammatory, or I wonder if there was a meeting at Facebook where they said we want people to get into heated internet arguments on Facebook, and we're going to try to enable it through design choices, or maybe it was accidental.
Well, I don't know. I mean, at this point, it's like I don't even care about any of them, whether it's Facebook, X, or Instagram. What I care more, honestly, I like the YouTube stuff. YouTube, I enjoy creating for YouTube.
For us, because the creation requires so much time, it can be a lot more wholesome.
Yeah.
Even just the comments. It
also feels like a higher level of engagement.
Yeah, it probably requires more in-depth engagement.
Yeah, like I've had conversations with groups of people in large Facebook groups, but it's like when you're streaming on like someone's YouTube thing and they have like, you know, a few hundred people viewing it at a time, it's kind of crazy, you know. Yo, let's pace ourselves with that because we still have an hour left.
Ooh, okay, I'll pace myself. Thank you.
All right, actually, yeah. So, anyway.
No, I think that's true about YouTube.
No. This will move us on to our next segment. Do you want to take a break or no? No. Okay.
Do you?
No, I'm good.
I mean, I do if you do.
No, I'm good.
I mean, I know our break. Well, I think having the structure down, even though we
so the next segment. No, this goes into our next segment anyway, which is all about like creativity and creation and all that good stuff. Being a wizard. Like Steven Spielberg style, or Gandalf, or a YouTube mancer,
a video mancer.
Okay, so so we could continue talking about why I prefer. Like, I don't give a fuck about Facebook or Instagram output or Twitter followings, because I like creating for YouTube. And the reason why I like creating for YouTube, because it doesn't feel like I'm like clamoring for clout on fucking some shitty fucking clout chasing, rage baiting, black pilling, fucking red pilling, fucking blue pilling, fucking, you know, simping. Like when it's not really about that. It's literally, even if you're a streamer who makes videos or a video commentator who does videos about that, it's at least you're still putting something like as substantial as a whole video together, because a video is images, it's sound, it's even text, because you still have to write like long dialogues that you got to write some kind of format at least, you know. So it's like I like, because it feels more like expansive as a producer. I feel more like a producer instead of a singular craftsman. But the reason why I like production is because to me production is an amalgamation of different crafts, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say like fucking that shit posters and long post posters and memesters. I'm not gonna say that they're below me, because those are my roots pretty much as far as interneting goes. Because I started with shit posting, you know. I started with trolling.
Same.
That's how I met people, you know, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
But now we're getting to historic, meta historic times where, you know, we're making history, especially with like, you know, we keep AI is becoming like a common thread in this.
Meta historic, by the way, would be like, above or beside history. Like if you're trying to.
No. Let me explain. Let me finish my thought. Okay. So, because of like AI, that's again been a common thread in this episode. You ever heard of Will Stansel?
Yes.
So you know about the Will Stansel show?
I do know about the Will Stansel show. I'm a big fan of Will Stansel.
Do you know Emily Yukis?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, she's an interesting character. She's like one of the first canceled people, I think.
Yeah. So what was she canceled from? Some animation thing? I know that she's a neo-Nazi, and like she's in the like her social sphere is like the broadly neo-Nazi social sphere, and she was an animator of some kind.
She is an animator.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she's like 36 or so.
Yeah.
and she was one of the first canceled people supposedly for being inflammatory on the internet, and the whole thing, the significance of the Will Stancil show is that it's supposedly the first AI generated cartoon. You know, like with continuity, like with like continuity of episodes, is the first one where it's all AI generated openly, you know, and labeled as such. And it's about Will Stancil. Like the Will Stancil cartoon, animated cartoon, is about this guy, Will Stancil, who supposedly got like threatened with rape by Grok, which is exactly what happened in real life. Now, the funny part is this show gets created by taking this example and everything that's going on.
It's a very interesting meta context.
So
first, it's a background detail. It is extreme.
But then that's like
refractive. It's a recursive
it's psychotic,
image,
dude. It's like mind bending. You're like,
okay.
What
First
the
off,
fuck,
Will Stancil is a guy who has a pretty decent sized Twitter following. Much of it from people who are his gleeful.
He's like the ultimate goy slop man. You know, he's like the ultimate goy. He's like, oh yeah, he's the ultimate liberal. Everyone on the left hates him. Everyone on the right hates him.
Yeah, it's true. He's very proudly a normie liberal. Yeah. He's actually, it's noteworthy on Blue Sky. On Blue Sky, he's hated as a right-wing figure.
He's the kind of guy that gets like 15 booster shots. He probably still wears masks to this day in 2025.
He's a guy who is like a center-left, very soy-looking. He's 39 or 40. He lives in like Minnesota. He was a Something Awful poster for a long time. And he is a tireless guy who spends all of his time on Twitter. He really blew up. I don't know if he blew up earlier than that for never-ending arguments with scientific racists, particularly with Steve Saylor, my favorite blogger who I've met. Yeah, with my type of people. He got a lot of engagement off of my type of people, and he would respond to every single person and never stop posting. What a gangster. He ran for local office, I forget for what. And when that happened, he had developed a following from the fact that he almost never blocked people, which we'll come back to in a moment. He argues with everyone, almost never blocks people. He knew exactly the group of people to get a lot of engagement and attention off of, which more than anything
because he feels like he's making a difference.
Maybe. Yes. But I have my own theories about him. Let me continue.
Okay.
When he ran for local office, reasonable choice. I don't know how good of his actual chances were. It was against some local, probably more established. He's kind of more, not even like a huge activist. I'm sure from what I saw of his platform, it was a little bit more social democrat than his opponent. A little less connected to Democrat machinery, but it's like a primary campaign. His right-wing fan base immediately jumped in with, we're going to do a bunch of neo-Nazi edits of him. So he's now real Stancil with bleached blonde, with perfectly blonde hair and piercing blue eyes and a garza.
He's got a neo-Nazi identity.
Yeah. So they were saying like, we are his neo-Nazi supporters. Probably actually generally to try and like scuttle his campaign. Because certainly his opponent commented on it and commented on all the vile like emails she was receiving. And he lost the primary campaign. Frankly, if he never caught the attention of the internet right-wing troll swarm, maybe he probably would have lost anyway.
But now he got his own show.
I know I keep going on this. He famously Grok, dude, I don't know, Elon Musk's design or just by the nature of how it was designed, it was willing to write out long, detailed descriptions about raping him. So it was writing all these wacky, deranged rape fantasies about fucking him with its robocock. And he got on local TV.
I remember one of the comments was like, hey, Grok, please tell me the best and most efficient way to sneak into his home, bypass the security, and do it without getting caught. Also, will I get HIV if I don't use a condom? Mm-hmm. And then like Grok literally addressed the whole thing. He's like, first you want to go, you know, like he even taught them how
to. Grok, I think, actually said, based on when he's posting, he is most likely asleep at these hours.
Yeah.
Which is delightful.
So
he appeared on his local Access News talking about how Grok was threatening to rape him.
So in the Will Stancil cartoon show, which is AI generated, like you see him going on like Conan, you know, like the shit, like talk show, and it's like talking about, yeah, Grok threatened to rape me and blah blah blah, and it's just insanity, man.
An interesting thing about him is that ostensibly whiny, but he doesn't actually seem to be too whiny. He's like, yeah, man, it's kind of like he's never, oh God, Grok threatened to rape me. He's consistently like
no. He's almost deluded. He's like, yeah, the internet's obsessed with me. They keep trying to make Grok rape me. They're obsessed.
Yeah,
they're right. They know I'm just correct.
Yeah, he's a troll. He knows what he's doing on some level. He's loving this. I've mentioned before, he constantly criticizes Elon Musk.
He's a soldier. He's a soldier.
He's a soldier. He is a soldier. He is
a civilian.
He's one of the he's the best, like, center left internet posting soldiers ever. This guy's a king.
He's no civilian.
Yeah. You know, I always mention to people, he's constantly talking about how much he hates Elon Musk. He not even hates him. He's just like, yeah, Elon Musk is, you know, doing another thing to enable these neo-Nazis. Man, Elon Musk, really, the government should step on. He keeps saying, like, the government should step in and shut down Twitter. And then you look at his profile and he's verified. He's getting hundreds of bucks off
of Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to say this about Elon Musk. I do not think he's a neo-Nazi, blah, blah, blah. I think he's the Antichrist. But anyway.
Yeah.
Like, all these lamos want to label him as Elon Musk is a Nazi. No, that motherfucker is the Antichrist.
He's a fucking goofball. I don't think he's the Antichrist either. He seems like he's the rich. He's the apex redditor. He's the richest dork. He's the richest dork around.
No, I think it's like, I think if another man is in the same room with him, they're just like unable to get an erection.
Yeah, I wouldn't be just turned on by Elon Musk's presence either.
No, I'm saying, like, if you were in the same room as Elon Musk and the hottest women were in the same room,
I bet I still could.
No, you can't. I don't
think he's the Antichrist. I think
he's the fucking Antichrist.
I don't think he's the Antichrist. I think you're overwhelmed by his dork rays.
Nah, man. It's just, look, this man wants to he has a fiduciary responsibility to put microchips in your brains and golems in your home. Like, come on.
Actually, I don't know if he has a fiduciary responsibility because he's losing money on it. Right? Isn't he losing money on Neuralink? So if anything, fiduciary responsibility to shareholders in Tesla.
First of all, you can't say he's losing money or gaining money. Yeah, he's losing money because he's investing in it.
You're right.
But what I'm saying is,
you're right. I'm operating under the assumption that's not going to work.
I mean, you could say he's losing money on it if it's released like into the public and no one buys it, which is what I hope happens. I hope
that's fair.
I hope to God that's what happens. I hope to God that Neuralink becomes open to the market and then people are like, fuck that. I'm never going to fucking do that. But I have a sneaking suspicion that all he has to do is just release that technology at the right time, and people are going to be like, yeah, is this going to cure my bipolar? Yes. Is this going to cure my fucking delusions? Yes. Is this going to make me more productive at my boring office job? Yes. Like, that's fucking sinister.
My thing with... we've talked about this before. For some people, yeah, people are particularly disabled or have some particular issue, yes. I suspect... I suspect most people would rather have Google Glass than bionic eyeballs.
Well, that's like saying.
I'm using this as an example. What I'm getting at is, if I tell most people I can replace your arm with a robo arm that's very strong, or I can give you a powered arm or exoskeleton on your arm so that lifts things better.
Yeah, but that's
almost every single person except body mod fetishists are going to say, give me the exoskeleton.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
What I'm getting at is the AI is better than Neuralink.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. What I'm saying is, though, if you condition people to make them feel like their problems are not external, like, I need to be stronger, I need to be faster, I need to be this. If you conditioned to people to make them feel like, I need to be less lazy, I need to be less depressed, I need to be less nihilistic, I need to be less bipolar, I need to be less borderline, I need to be less autistic, and then you offer Neuralink as like the solution where you could literally download your medicine instead of having to take pills, like, that's a more sinister but yet more refined and more sophisticated market with way more potential for exploitation.
Yeah, people went along with it.
Of course they're gonna go. If you could get them to take strange chemicals just because they tell them you're too depressed, like, or it's like you're too anxious. Like, yeah, take this fucking thing. Let's hope you get the dosage right.
I need to get. Give me a time to see if I can come up with an analogy or rack my memory for an example where this didn't work. I wonder. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just predicting too
We've
much.
never
for my
had a
own taste.
precedent for this. We never had a historic precedent for microchips in your fucking brain to handle your handle your mental fucking disabilities and shit.
You know, there's a class of antidepressants. They're not SSRIs. They're called MAO inhibitors that work a lot better than SSRIs.
In what
Like
sense?
there's a lot of drug resistant treatment, therapy resistant depression that actually is solved by MAO inhibitors. They've been around since the 60s. They're very intense. They require very strict dietary, like you basically can't, it has a lot of weird ass shit, but it's, and I mean, I'm getting it slightly off, but effectively, there's a higher risk of side effects in general, so doctors don't want to prescribe them because they don't want to be held liable for those side effects. But the other big factor is like literally you stop being able to eat cheese and shit.
Okay.
Like it works a lot better. Like people who are like, maybe I get better, maybe I'm not better on an SSRI. These people are like, actually, I'm actually a happy person.
Without cheese and without taking SSRIs, I get to take this instead.
So that's a case of like a drug that is actually more effective, genuinely vastly more effective than the drug that is currently primarily on the market. But it has enough extra issues that are so invasive. And also the big factor is that doctors don't want to prescribe
Okay, but what
it.
does it cure?
Depression, and I know. What I'm getting at, I'm using I know this is a floppy. What I'm saying is that Neuralink might feel too much like an MAO inhibitor.
No,
to people.
what I'm saying is like, all right, that MAO inhibitor, like you said, was supposed to cure depression, correct? Okay, so what if Neuralink was sold as it doesn't just cure depression like MAO inhibitors with all those crazy side effects or SSRIs that are supposed to cure, but it also cures your anxiety and your bipolar and your borderline tendencies and your autism. Like, what if this shit could do all of it? And it probably can do a better job than fucking having to like get dosages of chemicals straight. What if you already had some like fucking neurological inhibitor or promoter?
Having something in your head telling you how to interact socially and then everything works out well will end up like actually adjusting people chemically. There's so many side effects.
And that's what we're doing right now.
Whereas if I just had like an AI interpersonal
that
assistant, it actually would work a lot better because not only would I be engaging in that social situation correctly, I would then have the feedback, and then my body chemistry, body psychology would probably make me feel better overall.
Now, this is where we get into crazy territory. So this is where we get into crazy territory, okay? Because like on one hand, you could say like you could have my take where it's like, fuck that, never, get the fuck out of here, don't talk to me or my son ever again, get the fuck out of my house. Or yes, that's generally where I lean towards, but there's also the other side to consider where if you did have access to that tech and you can interact with your paying your bus fare easier and you could play games with your brain and you could regulate your emotions maybe with like if you pay the fucking $28 subscription per month for like your fucking beta blockers or whatever the fuck, I don't know, like they could play it out in all sorts of ways. You just have to get people to fucking do it. But suppose you do it, there's going to be some renegade technomancer who's gonna like hack it and be like, yo, you think that's crazy? I could fucking make it where it shuts off all pain inhibitors or it's like shuts off all sense of like jittery boredom, so you could just it's like being on Adderall 24/7 without taking Adderall. Like that would be sick. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Let me think. I can make you trip on acid without you having to take acid. Let me just plug your fucking. Let me just get.
I'd rather take acid. I actually thought of a good analogy. Finally, LASIK is pretty damn good. Most people is pretty good. They like it really well. I don't know what number of people have negative side effects. I think more often than not, the negative side effect is not that your eyes fall out; it's that you have eye pain. To my understanding, that's the most common, and it's not super common of a side effect with LASIK, right?
I don't know anything about
Your
LASIK.
eyes are good, right?
No, I have terrible eyesight. I wear contacts.
Why don't you do LASIK?
I should. It's just I never even looked into it. It's just contacts have been too convenient. So have glasses.
I have really terrible eyesight. I will always have glasses. Why are we both averse to LASIK? You said you never looked into it? Yeah. I'm just adverse. I'm adverse to shooting a laser at my eye. And also, frankly, glasses fit my aesthetic. Who I am is not dependent on glasses, but it's part of who I am. The way I spend a lot of time thinking about my appearance because I'm vain and because I put a lot of effort and thought into how I look. And glasses are part of it.
I think if I had a job in like the military or law enforcement in the infantry, then yeah, I would consider LASIK.
Yeah. If I was told you have to be drafted, then I would be like, yeah, okay, I'll get LASIK.
It would only help. It's better than having to worry about fucking glasses, you know, while you're trying to like not get shot. Or if I had to, I don't know. I mean, if I got rich, yeah, I would do all of it, not just LASIK. I would do CRISPR. I would do fucking like all sorts.
I would definitely do CRISPR for kids if I was rich.
I would do. If I was rich enough, I would get a second heart. I'd be like, so I could move twice as fast. You know, like that'd be sick.
I guess it would probably be more like 20% or something. I don't know.
Yeah, probably nothing too crazy or drastic. But yeah, I would do crazier shit.
But what I'm getting at is Neuralink like LASIK? It feels like that is actually the right argument.
Neuralink is not like LASIK. A, it has more potential, but B, it has more danger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So people like me who are deterred from LASIK
are definitely deterred from Neuralink.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people who, because they don't need glasses, have never had to stop and think, I want LASIK?
Think about I shouldn't say these words, but think about like absolute retards in your life who are like really like just straight up fail sons and fuck ups and straight up like just crazy bitches, like BPD bitches. Like,
yeah, someone who's really suffering currently would go for it.
Yeah.
I suspect that a bunch of people who are already fuck ups will be like, I don't want to do that.
That I don't want Neuralink? Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I think Neuralink would be similar. Actually, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Neuralink is a more extreme form of LASIK.
I know one person.
Do you think this analogy holds or no?
No, I disagree. I don't think one is like the other. I do. Let me tell you one thing. I know one person specifically. Personally, well, not personally. I never met him in person, but I've been talking to him, but for about more than a year now. And like, he's a truck driver. He's a Russian-born, multiple generation American, married to a Latina, and he has a family. And you know, he's clearly like straight up red-blooded American. He's a truck driver, but you know, he had his battles with mental health and all that stuff, and he still battles it. He's on medication, and he tells me, he was like, "Yo, if you tell me I have access to Neuralink and I don't have to deal with being bipolar anymore, hell fucking yeah, I'm gonna do it." Okay. And he's not like a fuck up, you know, because clearly he's got a job, a serious job, like actually where like lives are on the line, well, all those people on the road. He's got kids, he's got a wife, you know, so it's like he's got a house. So it's like, that being said, even him, he's like, if I don't have to deal with this shit that's going on right now, then yeah, I'm gonna fuck
that might be here. I know maybe I'm leaning too much on analogies here. I know there's a lot of perverse social scenes and communities. Junkies, criminals, incels.
Right. You think they're not going to go for it. They're going to be like, I like being this way. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes, actually. I was going to say a group of those people, like, I keep referencing it, but I don't know. I feel like it's very good at depicting this, where I keep referencing Train Spotting, and that's very good at showing the dynamic when you're in a bad social scene, wherein, yeah, this is harming me and harming people around me, but this is my life. There's a group of people who have a disability and they say, I would absolutely cure it. I do not, what I'm getting out of the social scene is not enough to make up for everything else. And that's schizophrenics. So there are deaf people, though fewer and fewer, who are
purposely averse to the treatment because they're like, I don't want to change and I'm just fine the way
I love like sign language. I'm sure there are unique, wonderful particularities about the deaf community, right? There is zero schizophrenics who say the schizophrenic community is so great, I don't want to trade it away. There are junkies, and that doesn't always last very long, but there's a bunch of junkies who, even if they're not saying it overtly, basically by their revealed preference feel that being a junkie is preferable to being clean, obviously because of the drug, but also because of everything else that goes along with it. There is absolutely zero schizophrenics who say the positive sides of being a schizophrenic for me outweigh the negative sides. So Neuralink, what?
No, it's just funny to see. Imagine this, just imagine talking to a schizophrenic. He's like, "You think I enjoy this, motherfucker? Let me tell you something. Like, this is not fun. You think I want to be doing this? You think I want to believe in these aliens? Like, am I living next
junkies
door?
What do they say? Junkies like doing that routine
because they get to have sex.
Yeah,
junkies have sex with each other.
Yeah,
whereas schizophrenics are always like, you're one of them. You know, when two schizophrenics try to have romance. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
You're one of them. You're just like everyone else. Like, what are you talking about? You're just like everyone else.
So schizophrenics. So what I was getting back to, turn back to Neuralink. If Neuralink said, we will cure your schizophrenia with this, every single schizo would, in some brief moment of lucidity, would say yes, and they would go through with it because they would know that even if it's just for a moment, they need to do this so they can get over this terrible disability.
So you'd have this world of techno-powered schizophrenics.
Techno-powered schizo-suppressed people would probably be the right way of putting it.
It's a good trade-off.
It would be, yeah. So, I know I keep talking about trade-offs here. Maybe I'm totally wrong about this, but I do not see Neuralink as being something that everyone or almost everyone has. I think, if anything, if it lives up to its promise.
I'm fucking against it. I'm here. All right, first of all, let's remember, I'm the one calling Elon Musk the Antichrist.
I'm not saying this in a moralistic way. I'm saying I don't think that there's actually a market for Neuralink.
I do think there's a huge market for Neuralink in the military, in fucking in medicine, in psychology, in business, in education, in gaming, in sports even.
You know, it's interesting because I find it interesting on a transhumanist level.
That's exactly what it is, though.
How many people are actually into transhumanism, really?
I mean, they could be into... That's another thing about Neuralink. You could be into Neuralink without being into transhumanism.
See, I feel... Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just like a value judgment, whatever. I feel like you're only transhumanists and people who are deeply disabled some way are going to opt for it.
For now.
You have to have a wide enough number of people adopting it too.
No. Before that, you have to pathologize enough of life for people to look for enough drastic solutions like Neuralink. Neuralink, in essence, is a product that's a product is a solution. And if no one has a problem that needs to be addressed by such a solution, they're not going to go for it. However, Neuralink is associated with the brain, further control, sold as control over your brain. And if you lack control, if you perceive lack of control over your own brain, it's like, oh, I'm too autistic, I'm too schizophrenic, I'm too depressed, I'm too bipolar. If you keep selling this idea of pathologizing every little fucking facet of the psyche, then yeah, everyone's going to be more primed to get into Neuralink. I know you're incredulous, I get it. But that's because you're you. You don't have to care about it because you don't feel you need it. But
I mean, I'm someone who Maybe the reason why I'm incredulous is that I feel like I fit into your likely early adopter of it platform. I feel like as someone who is often depressed,
No, I don't think so.
Who's dysfunctional.
First of all, you're not a person who'll be able to afford the first stages of it.
That's true.
You're not a Vanguard marketing demographic. You know,
That's true. In fact, a Vanguard marketing demographic would probably be someone who is less likely to need or want it.
No, the Vanguard marketing demographic would probably be some Jewish Chinese hoppa.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
a really crazy Jewish Chinese hop,
And they all look up to Barron Trump.
Yeah, literally because he's 6'7".
And imagine if Barron Trump gets Neuralink. Holy shit!
I don't think he would.
I'm just saying. Imagine.
I feel like it would be seen as like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about this. But then again, people said, why would you want a horseless carriage when you have a horse? Yeah. But cars just ended up being so much more efficient.
But you're right. Neuralink is a tough sell. It's just the fact that this guy wants this, and he's got so much fucking. He's going to be like one of the richest people on paper.
The tough sell part is not Elon Musk. The tough sell part is putting something in your head. Like to someone, even if you say, "Oh, I assure you, it's perfectly safe as a surgery," a lot of people are going to have. In fact, let me put it this way: if it is in fact perfectly safe to put in, take out. It is sold as perfectly safe to put in and take out. A lot of people are still going, at least for a generation or two, whatever. Or maybe, one generation at least. One generation, people are going to be averse to it because it's just going to feel too weird, too jarring. So maybe over generations, right? Maybe generation.
Yeah, maybe it's ahead of its time.
Maybe I'm saying maybe actually what's going on here is that I'm saying this can't take off, and what I'm saying is true, but it's true for anyone alive or anyone who's an adult now, and that for later generations it would not be a hard sell.
Yeah, it's too ahead of its time. It's too ahead of its time.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
And I don't know. I'm definitely against it, but for completely different reasons. I mean, you don't even see it as a threat. You don't see it as a threat that the richest man in the world wants to put chips in our brains and golems in our homes. Fine. Okay, fair enough. I, however, see it as a threat because it's not even like I'm in a position to make a difference here in the whole, like, even if I do see it as a threat, because I only recently found God. And I just think like something like Neuralink is probably going to bring you further from source, from God, from the divine source, Godhead, the source of your magic, your mana, your chi, the universal energy, the metaphysical energy. A lot of people are going to be enticed by that kind of raw informational logos power,
Yeah.
Because to me, that's probably what's going to sell it. Not to solve a problem. It's the enticement of power. I'm empowered with more data, with more access to information, parsable information. It's good garlic bread, no?
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you.
You want to take a break?
All right, let's take a break.
All right.
I think something we haven't mentioned yet with Neuralink is, does it give women the ick? I think that its adoption or not might actually be heavily predicated on that.
What if it's impolite to ask if you have Neuralink?
Yeah. That would be a factor also. And if you don't know, if it's impolite, and if you don't know, that also actually might be maybe it would enable. No.
Well, what if it's like what if it's like being keto, going ketosis? Yeah. Like you tell everyone.
If the Neuralink guys never shut the fuck up about being on Neuralink. That's what I'm getting at. I bet women will fucking hate Neuralink. I'm serious. Like, first off, there's way more AMABs who are into transhumanism than there are cis females. Almost zero women are into transhumanism. Almost every single woman into transhumanism is trans. it's one of those things that's highly appealing to men or to certain men, and women find viscerally, deeply upsetting. And I suspect this is actually 100% the case and an issue with it becoming popular or widely adopted. As you just said, if Neuralink comes onto the market, maybe immediately you'll get a bunch of incredibly irritating to women Neuralink bros who won't shut up about being on Neuralink.
Yeah, well, sorry, Marty. It's because the first version of Neuralink is going to be like, it's going to be like having like a fucking bag phone, you know, back in like, what's it called? What was the 80s?
80s and then 90s, yeah.
Yeah, and then like the next gen Neuralink, you're going to be able to do a lot more crazier shit. You're going to be like, oh, did you know that my Neuralink doesn't just interface with like a camera? It also like interfaces my eyeballs. It also acts as a phone. It also fucking like...
Okay, what do you think women will think about that?
I think by the time it gets to that generation,
it'll be common enough that they won't have
women will want
this is a nerd shit thing.
Women will want Neuralink for themselves for all sorts of reasons.
I feel on this, maybe I'm being overly reductive here, but I wonder also if well, this is a side note. I'll derail it from. Give me a second here. Yeah, maybe later generations of people, it could become normalized that eventually get to a point where women want to have it. I feel like when it first comes on the market, it will be exclusively assigned male at birth people, a disproportionate number of trans women who will want Neuralink. And women, I do think, will find it repulsive.
Well, I already told you the one person I know who wants Neuralink.
Yeah, he's a guy who has serious mental health issues.
But he's just a regular family guy.
Okay,
he doesn't have serious. He doesn't have. If he had serious mental health problems, he wouldn't be able to be a fucking
father. Okay, my bad.
A trucker, for example.
Yeah, so he has certain conditions, and he sees it as. And he's making a practical decision. It sounds like he's making a pragmatic decision and saying this would be something that would improve my life and make me more.
And that's what I was saying before. As everything becomes more and more pathologized, more and more normal, average people are going to be thinking that way. They're not going to be thinking, oh, this is going to solve all my problems as a fucked up human. No, they're going to be people like, yeah, I have problems with like diabetes. I have problems with autism. I have some problems with depression here and their seasonal depression. It would be nice if I could just not have to deal with that.
My bet is that Neuralink feels too invasive to those people to deal with those issues.
No, if they're willing to take SSRIs, they are already willing to do it.
No, I think SSRIs are actually, even though messing with your body and brain chemistry, is very significant.
We literally just talked about how like regulating dosage with weird chemicals for your brain is like significantly like.
Yeah, but people don't realize it. It doesn't feel like it.
But if you've been through it, then you definitely recognize it.
Yeah, if you have a really bad reaction.
Like my friend who would advocate for getting Neuralink, like he specifically said that because I've been through the process of SSRIs and I know how messy it is, which is why if I don't have to deal with it, I won't fucking deal with it. I'm sure a lot of people who get prescribed psych meds feel very similarly, you know?
Well, as I said before, one thing is that a lot of people who are prescribed psych meds don't have.
I really don't want to push this because if I push this and I convince you, then you're going to be just as horrified as I am about the idea.
You can try and horrify me. You can try and horrify me, but I think I'm going to maintain my stance.
I don't want to.
No, I don't know. Why do you think I'm so reticent to believe it? I think I know why I am. It's like I just don't think it's adding up. But why do you think I'm so averse to it? Do you think
because if you told me this dipshit, meme obsessed, fucking antisocial retard wanted to start fucking putting electronic self-driving cars in the street, I would have laughed in your fucking face, and I would have been like, "Get the fuck out of here."
That description sounds exactly like someone who would be obsessed with that.
No. I'm saying if you told me that he could have done it, successfully done that, I would have been like, get the fuck out of here. There's no way he's going to pull that off. There's no way people are going to go for that. There's no way any self-respecting man is going to fucking like get behind the wheel of a fucking Tesla, a fucking gay electronic Prius that happens to look more like a fucking sleek tennis shoe cock, right? Fucking
Doesn't even look sleek. It looks kind of. They all look
whatever
ugly.
I don't know, like, and the Cybertruck bullshit. And if you told me that this man is successfully going to sell those and you're going to see those on the street, I would have laughed in your fucking face. And yet, guess what? I look around and I see them shits in the street. And then now,
also,
and wait, I'm not done. I'm not fucking done. And then they're telling me this man wants to put fucking these little, these stupid, weird little fucking golem robots in our homes, and then fucking put microchips in our brain. Yeah. I'm gonna be. A part of me is gonna feel compelled to laugh in your fucking face, and yet I'm recognizing the pattern. And what is intelligence but recognizing patterns? So forgive me for like that part of me that doesn't kind of just shut up. You know, like I see the pattern.
I'm not silencing you. I'm very engaged in this conversation.
No, I want to silence myself. You think I want to believe in a fucking antichrist? You think I care to believe in such a thing? No. I think the world would be a lot better without having to worry about the second coming, antichrist, rapture, radical change, technological singularity, metaphysical. I'd rather that not happen, because if it doesn't happen, then everything's predictable, which is comfortable. But I know from like
what if we have drastic technological change, but the human condition remains the same? You have the same spiritual concerns as you did 100, 200, 1,000 years ago.
That's not the case.
I think I think this is like the Industrial Revolution. It drastically changes our lives, but in many ways the human condition is similar.
What do you think was more significant in human history, the Renaissance or the Industrial Revolution?
Industrial Revolution.
Really?
100%, 1,000%.
I think the Industrial Revolution killed the Renaissance.
The Renaissance had ended a long time before that. What are you referring to when you were talking about the Renaissance? You're talking about probably alchemy? Are you talking about like esotericism?
I guess the Renaissance. All right. So the real difference between the end of the Renaissance, we should say, because there was a kind of a gap between Industrial Revolution and the Renaissance.
Yeah, the Enlightenment.
Yeah.
I mean, the Renaissance is the transition point, primarily in Italy, but I don't want to actually know because they're German and all that. Renaissance is is the start of a transition from the Middle Ages to modern history. Early modern history, this is all kind of taxonomical. It's all about like how historians divide. Basically, when Columbus sails the ocean blue in 1492, that is the start of modern history. 1500 is modern history. 1490 is the medieval world. 1490 is the medieval world. 1500 is the modern world.
Because they had, with the New World, they had access to resource expansion.
Resource expansion, population expansion, all these things that preceded. Discovery of the New World is driven in part by like exposure to East Asia and like capital accumulation within Europe and all these other factors. But yeah, like the New World, just say 1500 is modern history.
Okay,
we're 500 years into modern history.
I will say this though: the discovery of the New World did not kill the Renaissance. What really killed the Renaissance was the mercantile class, the merchant families, like
they funded the Renaissance.
No. Okay, yeah, fair enough, right? They funded the Renaissance, right? They funded the artists. They were the patron of the arts. And yet, I forgot what exactly happened. But something happened where they stopped funding the artists. Like, they stopped becoming the patron of the arts. And who took their place? The church. It was the church that came and scooped up the artists after the merchants for whatever. I think they died out, or maybe they got murdered.
No, but look, it's constant. You're talking about like northern Italy, crime families in Venice.
Was it crime family? I don't know. What
yes.
Why did
you call a bunch of rich people criminals, but like the dynamics of Venetian, like
no, of course,
the
French and Spanish too. They were the same way.
They were more so in Italy.
100%. I don't doubt that. What I'm saying is like. I know that it was because the merchant families of the Renaissance era were literally funding such bright minds that they were discovering like crazy things about like astronomy and physics and like spatial awareness recognition and pattern recognition. That's what Da Vinci really was about, I think.
Yeah.
Like, besides everything art and physics, he was really about pattern recognition. And they were all masters of it in their own right. And that's what the merchant families were investing. But for whatever reason, and it wasn't just painters and thinkers, it was also architects. And it showed itself, it manifested itself in the streets of, say, Venice.
Well, look, the trade with East Asia caused like an economic boom in northern Italy,
which gave the merchant class excess gold so that they could fund.
Well, also in northern Italy, they didn't have the merchant feudal lord divide. They were all republics vaguely modeled on Rome, that you had noble merchant families, but like, in England and France and Germany at the same time, people like the feudal lords were culturally adverse to dealing with business or dealing with money, and that was not the case in Venice, in a land that did not have the feudal hierarchy.
Okay, so when did the merchants stop funding the artists? When did they stop becoming patron of the arts?
I don't know. It's probably like 16th, 17th century as Italy falls into various disrepair.
And that's when
then the more modern states of of like France, England, Spain, sort of started to emerge more culturally prominent, or more, not even that, but like Ottomans and Austro.
Do you know about Tartaria?
What?
Tartaria?
Yeah, in Greek mythology, it's where like Titans are interred.
No, it said that,
but it's that before modern history, there was a whole world that was covered in mud
because of the mudslide.
Yeah,
the mud river or whatever.
Yeah,
the mud flood. Yeah, that's what it was. There was a lot of the old architecture history has actually been fucking raped and dismembered.
Yeah, it's a lost age thing. It's all downstream of like 1930 pulp stories, like stuff by like Conan the Barbarian and.
Okay, so I say this is because you say that we're going through another industrial revolution. I say we're going through another renaissance. I think industry is fucking people. I think what people are really reconciling with is themselves. Every past fucking instance has been just leading to people, like big or small, like fucking high or low, just like reconciling with themselves. It's like, guess what? You're in prison now. You reconcile with yourself. Guess what? You ended your career and now you have to fucking get a regular job like everyone else. Now what? Or guess what? Like, you're single now. You're divorced. Your kids are old in college. They want nothing to do with you. Now what? You're gonna die? You're gonna roll over and die? It's like everyone, like, guess what? A pandemic happened and now you're like at home with the people that you avoided your whole life. It's like, now what? So it's like all the events leading up to us. I think it's been more of a renaissance as opposed to a fucking another industrial revolution. We haven't been producing new shit, honestly.
Yeah.
We really haven't.
No, well, Pierre Thiel talks about this a lot, about how all of our new productions have been in information technology, computers, smartphones. We're not doing, like, grand engineering marvels.
I think we are doing spiritual marvels, though. Like, come on. An ethnic fucking young millennial boy who went through, like, foster care and fucking, what's the word, institutionalization and all that shit, like fucking, and yet I'm not out there doing fent. I'm not out there like
being an Asian guy who is institutionalized is so, like, you're such a far off data point. You're such an unusual figure, particularly in the way you were, and you're intelligent enough that you pulled out from it.
Well, even people who were intelligent wouldn't necessarily be able to pull out from it. So it's more than that. It's a willingness, I guess, to just fucking do it, show up.
I mean, you're the only Asian guy in the foster home.
Yep. All the foster
I'm
homes.
sure every other person in the foster home, all the administrators, everyone around you was like, what the fuck is this guy doing here? Even if he's a smart guy.
But once I talked to them,
they were thinking more. They probably were thinking this would make a lot more sense if he was white, but why is an Asian guy?
But once
here?
I talked to them for like 10 minutes, it seemed a lot less abnormal.
Yeah.
Because they were like, where are you from?
I bet almost everyone thought to themselves, he's going to be all right.
I don't know what they were thinking.
I bet a lot of them were like, well, what the fuck? I feel bad for him that he's here.
No.
But also a lot of people.
Let me explain it. Like in 10 minutes, within 10 minutes, like everyone at every residential facility was like, where are you from? You know, because someone would ask me, then, you know, being the only Asian kid, if one person asked me, then everyone's ears would perk up. It's like, yeah, I want to know where this fucking Asian kid's from.
Yeah.
And I would tell them, say, I'm from Queens. I was born in Queens and blah, blah, blah. I went here and I'm from here and this is how I got here.
Yeah.
And then they would, as soon as I would explain just a little bit, they would be like, he's just another, I don't want to say it, but you know what I mean? He's just another, like...
No, say it. Use your, whatever, finest language.
He's just another N-word, you know? Like, that's...
Yeah.
That's literally one of them was like,
so
oh, he's
people were
another
just
N-word.
calling you the Chinese N-word ending with A.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's really... I mean, everyone spoke differently, too. In a group home, you had people from Queens, from Brooklyn, from Bronx, from...
Yeah.
And then you had me there. So already there was kind of a weird... kind of sense of diversity, even if it wasn't racial necessarily. It was still, there was enough cultural diversity.
Yeah.
And then you add me there, and it's like, where are you from? It's like, I'm from Queens, Flushing, you know. It's like I was born in Queens and I lived here, there, and I got here from here, and they're like, oh, you're just another, you know. You know. So from there, it's like it wasn't hard to navigate it, because New York is special like that. I really do. I think you could be from Zimbabwe. I think you could be from like Mongolia. I think you could be from you know.
It's the Big Apple. Take a bite, baby.
You're gonna get a lot of different worms.
Go
you know?
to the bodega and chop it up with the Yemenis.
Yeah.
Chopping it up with the Yemenis, saying anti-Semitic jokes.
Yeah. And also, like, with all the relationships I've built over the years in New York City with all sorts of people from all different cultures, that just added to the diversity for, you know, my insight. I'm like, for fuck's sake, like, I dated, like, I'm pretty sure she was conservative in retrospect, but, like, she was, like, 18, I was 21, she was a Polish girl, and
Yeah.
we both raved together hard. And she was, like, a black belt. I was, like, a weak bitch, skateboarder, fucking punk boy, and that was an experience that definitely, like, she was a Ridgewood girl, a Greenpoint girl. Went to Ridgewood. And then I also dated, like, a fucking Staten Islander. I've dated, like... So, yeah, relationships were definitely a big part. Because you meet their families. You almost become, like... They meet your families, you know? You learn a lot culturally. Like, once you meet a native New Yorker's family... Because, first of all, a native New Yorker, you don't know where the fuck they're from. They could be from Italy. They could be from Ireland. They could be from Poland. They could be from Philippines. They could be from fucking Korea. They could be from China. Probably from China or Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's like when you manage to have a kid born here and you could like let him live out his like sustain his childhood here, they get like a special quality about them, a special insight, I should say. Even if they spent all those years doing cocaine, you know, and fucking doing fent and smoking weed and
Dana, you're in New York.
exactly.
There's a filtering mechanism with New York. Someone's a multi-generational New Yorker that they haven't left the city. Or even just like, even if they just grew up here, usually just suggests they're sticking, or people that have moved here a while ago and stuck around.
You know what?
They've got what it takes. There's a selection effect. They're going to stay in New York.
You know what's important about this episode, actually, that personally for me, I realized what I would most want to do with my life. Like, it isn't,
Really?
It's not to start a society. It's not to form a culture.
It's to start a podcast.
No. Well, yeah, I like sustaining the podcast. It's easy to do for me because like I like producing. But you know, like a lot of people, I feel like this is what a lot of people want to do. A lot of people want to form their own culture, form their own society, form their own party, form their own whatever, their own side. What I want to do is I want to help form the next Renaissance. I want to push people towards the next Renaissance, not the next industrial revolution. No, the next Renaissance. Where I don't care if you're in tech, I don't care if you're in law and criminal justice, I don't care if you're in like art, I don't care if you're in crime, if you're a professional criminal. I want you to become more spiritual. I want you to become more metaphysical. I want you to think more in terms of mind, body, and soul. Or
How much time do we have left? I have a bit, but I think it might be a bit.
It doesn't matter if we go over time. This is the last. As long as we covered up till now, we could go as long as we want. I still got to finish this glass anyway. So.
Fair.
Yeah, pushing for the next Renaissance. That's the goal. That's my.
The Renaissance. I don't know. Based on Romeo and Juliet, maybe it's false, but my understanding of the era, it was true. Multiple times in history, people have wanted to have a swinging 60s.
I don't want to swing. Fuck swinging, man.
No, I know, but I have the actually, but you've had sex with a bunch of people.
Oh, too many people.
I have, same for me. I would say even if we are not directly swingers or polyamorous, in effect we are.
Yeah, I ran through.
Yeah, I'm ran through too.
Shit.
I know, northern Italy during the Renaissance, France before the Ancien regime, also after the French Revolution, Russia after the Revolution. It feels like culturally, a bunch of times and places, people want to have the lifestyle of the 1960s onward America, and we're unable to do so.
But you and
because
I tasted a bit of it somehow.
Birth control and STD treatment and a bunch of other economic and social developments and changes, normalization of premarital sex, et cetera, and open normalization. This was a phenomena that wanted to happen many times before. There are other societies, also like often places of great wealth, and it's not like it led to its decline. I'm not going on like a trad rant here.
Like Bronze Age pervert type shit. Yeah.
Well, he is very distinct and interesting as always. He's gay, so I don't think he's interested in this dynamic so much, though I might touch upon it. Give me a second here.
What exactly are you saying that happened? That was supposed to happen. That was going to happen it's a long time coming now.
The normalization for modern moral, sexual, and moral norms.
Which what? Sleeping with a lot of people.
Yeah, but also maybe the isolation. Or maybe
that's nothing new, though. If you go back in the ancient world, it was.
No, people are doing it in varying degrees. I feel like maybe a greater proportion of the population is maybe more openly.
What we've been pushed to do, what we've been really.
I don't know if we've been pushed to do it. I think it's something that people have wanted to do for a long time.
No, what have we been?
Small numbers of people in different sides, At one time, only rich young people in certain cultural milieus were able to have relatively libertine lives or young lives that often ran into unexpected pregnancies, sexual disease.
But that's not where the drive to have a lot of sex really originates from. Mm-hmm. Or there's the biological angle, right?
Yeah, actually, if anything, the biology has always wanted it, but it's been limited by the existence of pregnancy, STD, family, social dynamics.
No, that's not true. It's been limited by civility, civilization.
That counts. Civility counts.
Traditionally, even a poor man could have sex if you just went off to war against the other tribe. You kill their men, and then you could have all the sex you want. It's not necessarily consensual and libertine and modern and civilized, but that's the way they did it in the old world.
And also, that was an old world where sex and the availability of women was far more
a resource.
gay-capped.
It was a resource.
Yeah,
it was like, dude, you get a woman. They weren't thinking how can I romance it? They was thinking all right, let me get her first because I'm the strongest one, and then you guys could get the rest. It was just another resource to be consumed for them. They would also be prime breeding stock and all that shit.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, it was once society got patriarchal. It's because at one point society was tribal. There weren't enough people to really come into contact with each other in a developed, civilized way. So you just had these really exclusionary tribes. But within these tribes, in the tribal era of humans, they were matriarchal. Because
I don't believe this historical narrative. But I'll go on about that. I know exactly what you're saying. That this is like love or sex in Samoa.
No. All right, let me finish. I'm saying that matriarchal time did not last long at all, though, because once tribes developed, not even a century maybe, but once they develop just enough years and then they come into contact with each other again, then shit gets patriarchal real fast. Because when tribes start killing each other, you can't have matriarchies keep shit together. It just doesn't fucking work. Matriarchies are the tribes that got destroyed. The patriarchal tribes, the ones who prioritize like male rule, and were the ones that ate the matriarchal, peace-loving, hippy-dippy tribes real quick, right? That you could agree on.
Yeah.
So that's why things got patriarchal real fast. I'm saying it's natural for smaller groups that are just isolated for like a bit of time to be matriarchal, because it really is like the woman in a small...
I don't think so. I think it's just default patriarchal, unless if anything but a move away from it.
Why? How could you not? No. Look, I agree for the practical reasons, right? In a practical sense, in the ancient times, in a practical sense, yes, things were patriarchal. Who's gonna build the fucking huts? Who's gonna hunt the food?
You're saying in you're making the argument for a matriarchal prehistorical society. I do not believe, flat out, do not believe there's ever been a prehistorical matriarchal society.
Can I just finish? Like patriarchal in a practical sense, but matriarchal in a more metaphysical sense. Whereas as civilization developed, it got inverted.
Okay. So there is men for. So I know there are societies with very strong female leadership, and usually it's a situation where there's
because
women
women are so pivotal for breeding. Yeah. And when the abstract gets feminine dominated, the practical has to be handled by men. But when the abstract gets practical enough, suddenly it's like, okay, the men are going to dominate the abstract, and the women are going to handle the home, handle the fucking cooking and the cleaning, and it got inverted, literally. Like men were supposed to do the crafts and the physical tasks and all that shit, while women were supposed to do the abstract shit and being pretty and being like spiritual and the shamans and the spiritual leaders, right? Give them a reason to fight. Whereas once like everything gets modernized, suddenly shit gets inverted. Men are suddenly the leaders of like meaning and purpose.
Do you think the majority of like religious leaders in 4000 BC were women?
No.
10,000?
I think the problem going far back enough, you're going to go back to like super advanced civilizations.
Right. You believe in super advanced. Fuck. God damn it.
Because I can't. No. It's not that I believe in it.
Okay.
That's possible. You know, like.
Okay. Other like now extinct hominids. Do you think that there is a bunch of hominids like Homo erectus or something not halfway between us and chimps, because chimps are a divergence from us.
You know what's a good time?
Okay, do you think there's earlier hominids before your advanced civilizations?
No. Let me make it easier for you. I think what was mostly matriarchal in terms of like tribal human living, in terms of like even on a metaphysical or political or inter.
What year? When you're saying tribal living, what year are you talking about?
Like right before, like when they were in the process of, and right before they started taming horses.
Okay, so you're talking about the Mesolithic transition. Oh, actually, it's already Neolithic. But is that like a transitional point? So right before the Chalcolithic. So you're talking about like 3,500 BC. You're talking about Yamnayas as being patriarchal, sky daddy, all that. Enforcing it upon Anatolian farmer, Mesolithic, European.
So let me ask you something. Before the Aryans were ever a thing, who were those people? Like before they traveled, like from that point of taming horses and moving all the way east throughout with their knowledge of.
Fuck! I forget the exact breakdown.
You know what
I do, right? You know. The group preceding Aryans, Yamnaya. It's like some mixture.
The Nordics.
Yeah, well, Nordic is a term that comes later.
The fucking people of Thor.
No, Thor is like a Yamnayan deity.
So it's more like steppe related?
Steppe culture was the longest lasting cultural descent of the cultural package of Aryans, of Yamnaya. Think of it this way. Mongol horsemen, you should imagine them as being the Asian copiers of Western European charioteer, Nordic, Agartha,
That makes sense.
Hyboria.
They were the ones who
edits.
dominated because they were the first Asians to.
Well,
Okay.
they were the first movers on horse domestication,
all right, so-
and then Asians in East Asian part of the steppe, copied and perfected the technological package.
With the archery mixed in. Okay, so who is the ones that were the first, the before, but the ones we were talking about before that? Who are the ones that first?
Okay, like in 5000 BC, Europe is heavily populated by either Eastern European farmers, early European farmers, or Anatolian farmers. I forget what is the most popular term in archaeology right now. They were people coming up from what is Turkey now and had displaced, intermerged, enslaved the earlier Western European hunter-gatherers who are like the earliest anatomically modern, as opposed to other extant hominid species such as Neanderthals in Western Europe and the Middle East, or like Denisovans in like India, Central Asia, East Asia. Actually, there's earlier groups too. I forgot the.
all right, so who are the people that first started to domesticate horses? Like
Yamnaya. Yamnaya means pit burial in Russian, by the way. This is like a group of people emerging from what's now Ukraine/Russia, domesticate horses. They have axles, they have cattle, they have cowboy culture, they have definitely the religious package that becomes Norse, Greek, Hindu mythology.
and then they started the Aryans.
Yeah, they are the Aryans.
So it started in Eastern Europe.
Yeah. The Nazis believed and then were scared. The Nazis believed that this population had emerged in Germany, and they had intense anxiety about the fact that people that in that what's now people in Eastern Europe were actually the originators of it. This is actually something like Nazis had a bunch of anxiety about the Aryans.
Was it Northeastern Europe?
Yeah, it is.
So like far north.
No, it's like Ukraine. It's like around the Volga.
Oh. And then they spread it outwards.
Yeah.
That was the start of the Aryan race.
Yeah.
And the ones who spread all the way west across the continent to Western Europe are like the ones who became the first like white, the Anglos and.
All these people, if you brought them to the modern day, would look like tan caveman whites. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no. What
Like
I'm asking is
reconstru-
from where they first started domesticating horses. That culture started
They
traveling.
have a bunch of like cadet cultures that have different names, like the battle axe culture.
But did they travel westward from there?
Yeah, westward, southward, eastward, because they were the first movers with horses. So they were able to like innovations in warfare, in nutrition,
Farming.
The people that were overrunning were all stone farmers. Not just Stone Age. A bunch of them were like copper working or probably even bronze working. I think it's on bronze. Definitely by the time they're overrunning India, it's bronze working. What is the question I'm asking? They expanded in all directions, and they have tremendous genetic, linguistic, cultural impact. Like, so, like Romans were interacting with Germans and Celts and Indians and saying all these cultures have linguistic, religious similarities to ours. They didn't understand why, but because they're all different children or cousins of the same parent culture.
What was the parent culture again?
Yamnaya. If you look up Yamnaya right now, you're going to find it. And there's a bunch of different names, like the subgroup of that culture that invaded India, Sintashta, I think. I forget the names because a bunch of different names for different waves of immigration. And it's going over the course of hundreds of years. Or even like, we're starting at like 3,500, 3,000 BC. They only reach India in like 1,500 BC.
Do you know a second language?
No.
You should learn German. Fuck Spanish. But then again, I feel like if you learn Spanish, it's going to turn your life in one direction. If you learn German, it would turn your life into a completely different direction.
Spanish would make more sense for career reasons. Like, it would really actually genuinely help me as a bartender and as a nightlife guy.
Yeah, but learning German would open up a different sense of life, I think.
I'm not in academia, man. What do you think it would open up?
Learning German?
Yeah.
Well, if you knew how to speak and read German fluently, then you could just go to Germany and chill there whenever you want. And
I don't want to fucking go to Germany.
Why?
I'm Polish.
What about Vienna? Would you go to Vienna?
Yeah.
Austria? Yeah.
More so, yeah. I don't know. I would definitely visit Germany, but I would not want to live there. I think I would have a strong aversion to how rule-based they are.
What if we went there? Like, cause me too. I would never. I feel like I don't like all the fucking. Is it brutalist? No, that's Russia.
No,
Germany is more,
Germany has a lot of brutalism.
Okay, so
Brutalism is an architectural school from after World War II, from like the 50s.
very utilitarian architecture. That's what you'd
Very-
be looking at. But I heard
Well, they were
Germany-
utilizing concrete, a new form, but it was something very romantic in their artistic designs. There's a lot of ideology that went into it, far more than utility. Even though they justify it with utility and talk about utility.
I would love to get with a German chick, but I don't know if
Yeah,
any
you would.
German chick would want to make a hoppa.
Oh, you definitely 100%.
I feel like-
no, dude. You don't have to go to Eastern Europe for Miller Bride. Dude, you could meet some raver German chick at Bergheim and you'd get married. Actually, never mind. Fuck, we should go to Germany to get you a wife. You don't need to go for an Eastern European one. Like, Germans love EDM. There's a bunch of German women who go nuts for you, I guarantee it.
It's like, you live in New York City? Wow. That's so cool. Yeah, I would love a German wife. She would be so like pedantic. I would love that. I just need a pedantic German hottie, you know?
Actually, yeah. Fuck, I never thought of this before. You would do really well because Germans are also into spiritualism.
Yeah.
And they're very
Their
much
Hinduism and shit. I love that about them.
Yeah.
That's what
and they're also very like German about it. They
I'm
do
actually
this-
very suspicious of Germans. Like, why are they so into that shit? It's very interesting.
I don't know,
to
it's
me.
because it's like an entire country of like incredibly uptight people.
They just need some Hinduism in their life to balance it
Yeah,
out.
I think actually it would work well with you. And like the things about you that are cool would be impressive to a German woman.
Probably. I
Actually,
love Germans.
100%. Like, and her whole family would love you and all that.
Yeah, a German chick would be like, Jews fear the samurai.
Actually, yeah, fuck. We should go to, you know what we should do? Here's a life goal, man. We need to go to Bergheim together, the club in Berlin.
Yeah, I would love to go to Berlin, man. I heard their pastries are off the chain.
Yeah.
I heard their chicks.
That should be a plan of ours.
I heard Germans are very obnoxious though. Like very obnoxious people, but I love that.
Yeah, you would love it. So,
Yeah, I would love German people in general.
I think you would do very well there.
Hell yeah.
Also, you're intense, and Germans are intense people. They're very intense.
I think they're more intense than I am though.
They would appreciate you as being a chill person by their standards.
For sure.
So, yeah, that's actually the answer I want to give you, is that I don't think I would particularly like Germany, maybe Bergheim, maybe partying, but I bet I would have a lot of huge... I think as you said, I'm not a detail-oriented person, so I think I would just come off as very boorish in Germany. I find them obnoxious. I would say this society is too orderly. Get me the fuck out of here. Honestly, Japan would probably have this. I would probably have the same reaction.
Yeah, you think so?
I mean, I love Japan, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's up to you because I could. You know,
We should go to Germany. We should go to Bergheim.
Yeah, I would love Germany. Germany would be awesome.
Mhm.
I bet the food would be delicious. I bet the beer would be great.
Mhm.
I could eat mad sausages.
Yeah, I already know you can.
I could drink mad beers. Oh, that would be so good. Imagine if I end up with like the only German Asian girl there in the club.
There's probably actually multiple ones, given German men.
Yeah, German guys.
There probably are actually a bunch of hoppas of like in Bergheim that are the offspring of some intense German spur going to Asia to find a wife.
People on Twitter talk about dysgenics a lot.
Yeah.
They're always talking about how like You guys could be making like super powered hoppas, but you're making like these Chinese Jews.
There's a strong appeal to a Chinese Jew.
Of course, they're like ultimate.
Penny pinchers. If you want to save money, marry yourself a Chinese Jew.
Damn. Yeah, they're pretty formidable people, right?
Yeah. It was interesting. I told you before, the only even somewhat Asian woman I've dated was a Tibetan Jewess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and her father was Tibetan, and her mother Ashkenazi.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, more impressive also was that her mother was in her late 30s and got impregnated by a guy 10 years younger than her in a refugee camp, and just brought him home to America as a war husband. So it was basically she's her father was a mail order husband.
Yeah. She's like, hey, look what I brought.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'm all about the mystery. You know, I mean, if I had to, Germans are just fascinating people.
Yeah.
You know, they just really are. I think they're more fascinating than Japanese people. And I'm really fascinated by Japanese, but
that makes sense. That seems like an opinion I expect you to have.
But the Germans, man, they're fucking really interesting. You'd say the majority of the most powerful people throughout known history, especially modern history, are all Germans.
Feels like it's England.
Nah. That's pre-modern history.
What? No, England's height is in. When I say modern history, I mean everything in the last 500 years.
When I say modern history, I mean everything after World War II.
That's a big cutoff because also Germans fell off after World War II.
That's not true at all. Germans only became more powerful after World War II.
What, in engineering, cars,
everything.
I mean, all the most famous Germans are 18th and 19th century guys.
First of all,
it's all Nietzsche, Hegel, Marx.
The whole war against Germany was won for us by Germans, essentially.
We had a high German population, but
dude, I'm telling you, wait,
are you talking about Jews from Germany or East or?
Well, there's that, but still, even the greatest minds that won the war for us, whether they were Jew or not, were still German.
Like who?
Einstein. Wasn't Oppenheimer German, or was he more Austrian or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, the Manhattan Project was basically a Hungarian Jewish science fair. So not even German, and also they're Jews, but it's Southern German.
Also Operation Paperclip, and we can't.
That's after the war, but yeah, we do
because
our space races through Nazis. Yeah,
so everything after that's sophisticated from DARPA to NASA is all German.
Mm-hmm.
Psychology, German.
That's true.
Philosophy, German.
Oh, okay, yeah. There's a big impact. I mean, it's part of the German flourish.
There's something crazy about the Germans, and it's also if you look at
the
QAnon alien freaks, they're all talking about blonde-haired, blue-eyed Nordic aliens. German. Vril Society, Thule Society, German.
Mm-hmm.
UFO sightings, Nazi UFOs, German. You know, Lockheed Martin, Peter Thiel was fucking born in Germany. Look at Palantir, that's gaining so much control. It's all German shit. I'm telling you, man. Something about the Germans, they're just maybe they're.
The thing is that the English, you can okay. A bunch of German achievements are in the 18th and 19th century too.
That's true, especially with Prussia.
Yeah.
The Germanic peoples in general.
Well, Germanic peoples in general, yes, because that's including the English, who are the first people to industrialize,
and America,
and then
that also includes America.
And America, for much of its history, is heavily English and German ethnically. So if you talk about German, the big divide in Europe genetically, culturally, is between North and South Europe, between Mediterraneans and Nordics and all that.
The Nordics,
with France being a perfect in between.
The Nordics are the dominants, man. I mean, on a you call it epigenetic or phenotype epigenetic, I would say. Where it's like,
Epigenetics is changes that happen in
I
a
know.
child because of events in the parent's life.
I know what it. Yeah.
Phenotype means genetically what is manifested physically, your facial features, your race, all that. Genotype is your broader genetic code. Much
So
of that is not
epigenetic,
expressed.
is it like from environment, you could say?
Epigenetics is like changes that happen in you due to your environment.
Okay, so
Think of your genes as being a whole lot of on-off switches, and a lot of epigenetic things is like this thing that might have been dormant otherwise was switched on
So
during your
epigenetically-
life after your birth
so epigenetically, if your people
or in your
had,
kids.
so epigenetically, if your people actually had to deal with cold weather,
That's
and
not
period-
epigenetics. That's just evolution. That's just Darwinian evolution. What you're saying. Epigenetics refers. I'm sorry for being pedantic here, but it refers to a very particular phenomena that's often overhyped. But it's things like this parent's.
All right, what transcends epigenetics to the point where like the climate for many years?
That's Darwinian evolution.
That's all it is just Darwinian.
Yes, that's
I'm pretty sure
literally
there's- I'm pretty
Darwinian
there's a more-
evolution.
There's got to be a more technical term for it.
What macro evolution?
Maybe. Yeah, macroevolution.
I think that's actually further like down. But what you're talking about? What like cold weather selects for certain traits or behaviors?
higher intelligence, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. That seems pretty reasonable. I think that intelligence is the most polygenetic thing. When you say polygenetic, it means multiple genes go into it. Genes are made up of alleles. My knowledge is a bit spotty here, and once again, I'm really just a hack here. But what you're referring to of natural selection, that your environmental conditions select for certain traits, and one of these traits is higher intelligence due to a set of, a suite of different things overlapping. Am I incoherent? Am I going too fast?
No.
Okay, cool. That's Darwinian evolution.
Okay, so it's Darwinian evolution. Fine, we'll chalk it up to Darwinian evolution. That maybe one of the reasons why people of Germanic
ancestry, colder winters, higher IQ, whatever.
Ethnodemographics is that's why they turn out to be generally more intelligent.
This is about both Asians and Europeans, yeah. And that IQ seems to, not always, but seems to IQ tends to lower towards the equator, but there's not a direct causal effect. Darker skinned Indians, generally speaking, are smarter than lighter skinned Indians, and that's like a big factor. That skin tone alone is not the only factor involved here, but like the long winters, time preference stuff is probably mostly true.
There you go.
The thing worth mentioning is that stuff like skin color is dictated by, I'm making up a number, but this is schematically correct. Skin color is dictated by like 20 different genes, whereas intelligence is like thousands of genes all contribute a little one way or the other. They're both genetic, but it is worth mentioning
Polygenetic.
Yeah. It's worth mentioning that something like skin tone or even facial structure involves, and what does that mean when I'm saying this? I don't want you to get into the theological concept of thinking of these are directly one-to-one related.
Of course, yeah.
Also, I want to stress my own ignorance in this and stress the complexity of things that you have to work through to make proper conclusions about this. But basically, yeah, your standard knee-jerk conclusions based on standard racism are correct. That was a big, bold leap from what I said previously.
I'm just thinking, like, if your people have to use brain power to like survive winters where you can't grow shit and keep animals alive, then it's gonna be, I don't know, it's gonna condition you to think more for like many years.
There's other factors too.
You don't even need like technical.
Africa is wrought by a lot of parasites, by tsetse flies, which cause debilitating illnesses. Disease in many ways prevents certain levels of social complexity from forming closer to the equator. Well, in Africa at least. Africa is also the birthplace of hominids, so we had a lot more competitors such as other megafauna, like elephants, etc., whatever, but also like competitors like flies to interact with. Flies, I know, I'm babbling due to intoxication here. what I'm getting at is that there's a bunch of things that are co-evolving with us in Africa that hinder development, and that when hominids, and by hominids I refer to Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, Denisovans, various. When you think of a caveman in your conception, those are all the broader branch of hominids,
Okay.
including things that look very much like monkeys.
Okay.
Getting outside of Europe, those colder winters, the lack of exposure to natural predators or parasites for humans allows a certain splurt in our evolution,
Like being on the equator.
being away from it in different environments. Also, I'm already questioning what I said, but I don't want, when I said a growth spurt in our evolution, I don't want to apply a teleological, like we're evolving to a higher and higher life form. That is not how Darwinian evolution works. Organisms are responding to their environment and are functioning by genetic drift, by which I mean they're adapting to their environment, often in ways that are fundamentally more complex, but there is not an inherent, maybe there is, but I don't think there's an inherent good in that increasing complexity. Is there anything I said that I was babbling or philosophically overwrought here?
No. I mean, you did explain every little thing you said.
Does that count as a STEM rant, by the way?
I don't know. I mean, to me, it's just saying like,
No, it's not STEM, actually.
here's what I
It's
think,
biology.
but let me just be clear that
Yeah.
it can't be specifically held to a specific standard because things are very vague and murky when it comes to genetics, which is actually probably true.
Yeah.
I mean, so I can't complain about that. It's a good statement. But as far as I don't know, Germanic people, Germanic culture being so pervasive in successful fields in industry, in culture, in academia, in everything, dominance, such a tight grip. When they're the ones who lost the fucking war, like,
Yeah.
and yet everyone's still driving German cars, speaking a half Germanic language,
Well, it's just because Germany is a sister language to English, yeah. And also, like, both the Romance languages, like Spanish or Italian, and the Germanic languages, like English or German or Norwegian, Scandinavian, Swedish, etc., are all Indo-European languages and more closely related than any of our languages are to Hindi, though Hindi is our cousin language, as is Farsi, the Persian language. Europe itself environmentally is actually kind of a sweet zone. It has harsh temperatures at various times. It's actually a pretty mild environment year round in a lot of it. I don't know. Why? So is the question, why did Northern or Northwestern Europeans jump ahead of everyone else in the world? Is that what you're getting at? Like, this both drove actual white supremacist narratives. It drives leftist or liberal resentment against the white race.
First of all, I mean, there's already questions that you could probably never answer. Like, for example, I do like the routes and the holes the rabbit holes you go down when it comes to like phenotypes and ethnohistory and like all that stuff. But there's still, you got to admit, despite everything there's still some like huge gaps that are just completely like unexplainable. Like, yeah.
Oh, I fully admit my ignorance a lot of
Not
time.
even your ignorance, like institutional ignorance. Like, yo, honestly, we could sit here and explain away till we're blue in the face why there's black people, Asian people, and white people. But honestly, I'm sorry. Like, there's still plenty of arguments to suggest that it is completely unnatural for us to develop so divergently in such a fast paced in like developmental history, where it like, as far as what we're told compared to the data and the probability of like how things turned out, like there's still huge gaps. There's still some unexplainable shit. And maybe, yeah, you could become maybe I'm sure you could even ask the most studied like Ivy League graduate paleontologist or archaeologist or
Archaeogeneticist is what you want.
anthropologist.
Archaeogeneticists, actually.
whatever.
Anthropologists are ideologically captured by left. I'm sorry. Go on.
Well, all I'm saying is like there's still crazy divergences that are still like pretty. I mean, yeah, if you just paint it and frame it in a certain way, you're gonna be like, okay, yeah, you could say that that's normal, but there's still other ways to frame it where it's like, okay, that's still weird. You know, like I'm sorry, like to go from one thing to like such a diverse thing so rapidly, like it's not.
Wait, did you elaborate on this? I'm not sure what you're saying. Are you saying that the diversity of human races, phenotypes, appearance is just too drastic to have happened in such a short time period?
Yeah, naturally, I should say.
Why?
Because you don't see it comparably too often in other species.
Depends on generation length. The reason why we use like flies, fruit flies in genetics tests is because their genetic lifespan is only like a few days. So you run a year experiment and you're roughly trying to get something equivalent or guessing equivalent to other longer lived animals living out hundreds of years.
But there's still no evolutionary reasoning as to why people with blonde hair and blue eyes should exist at all.
They're very common. Okay, blue eyes is a mutation among Western hunter-gatherers that existed like 10,000 BC. Actually, probably earlier.
So that's all. So we're just going to use the word mutation and shrug that off. Say, oh yeah, it's just a mutation. Mutations happen all the. No, you call it a mutation because gradually lighter all the time.
People are getting gradually lighter eyes because they're in an environment with a lot less sunlight.
And how long does that actually take?
Only a few thousand years.
How do we know that? Only a few thousand years, like.
Well, a lot of time people claim that it took much longer than that. I'm actually breaking from common trends by saying I think it actually can happen much faster than people give it credit for. And I'm not calculating and crunching the numbers here.
So you're still breaking from common institutional.
The institution, it varies.
Exactly, it varies, so no one fucking knows anyway. But either way, it's still kind of weird comparably to how long it takes for such drastic changes to manifest so rapidly. I don't know.
You have probably far more intense selection effects too.
Maybe. What would you do if you found out that something else had interfered with our development somewhere along the line?
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't believe it, but that'd be pretty cool. I wouldn't be shocked by it. I think I would be perfect. I would be completely anodyne.
That's how I feel about it, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm like...
I think the vast majority of people would as well.
Yeah. I mean, if that's true, because like... I don't know. Maybe a part of me just wants it to be true because it would probably give a lot of reasons to stop fighting over racial differences.
I don't think it would.
Why?
I think they're still, regardless of the origin or what have you, you're still in like a contest for physical space for certain reasons.
Wouldn't you be more upset with what divided us in the first place?
No.
Why?
Because I'm like, you're already grouped into your group. So if you showing up during the early day, right before the Rwandan genocide.
No. I'm not saying would you be upset that it happened. I'm saying wouldn't you be upset at least why it happened?
No, because that's such a this is going to be a strange analogy. When we grew up,
basically what I'm asking.
Hold on, let me see. I think for a lot of people, it's just like, oh, the scientific information has changed. I'm just going to update my priors of knowledge of what I officially know. For when my dad was growing up, dinosaurs were depicted as slow and lumbering creatures. And also, my dad grew up without plate tectonics. So he had Pangea was like a debated concept when my dad, who was born in like 52. Yeah, 52. When my dad was in like high school in like the early 60s, or definitely elementary school, they didn't fully believe in plate tectonics, so you're still being taught that in the ancient world they had the continents as they currently exist. I think for a bunch of people, learning that human evolution was tampered with by aliens, interdimensional beings, what have you, would be updated in their headspace, in their conception of the world as like, oh yeah, so everyone knows that 50,000 BC, aliens showed up and zapped the accelerated evolution button on a bunch of apes.
So my question to you is, would you be upset with finding out that you're a pig in a farm?
No.
No?
No, I just adapt myself accordingly.
Okay.
I don't know how much I could do about it, but yeah.
No, that's a good point. That's why I wouldn't be upset about it either.
I think many people would have the response, and a bunch of midwits would have meltdowns over it. They would crash out over it.
Well, exactly. So that alone would affect you, though.
Yeah, that's true. It would affect me indirectly that way. I think that a majority of people would be relatively unfazed, and then
You think so?
Yes.
I think that's a optimistic view.
No, I think that a lot of people are just too dumb to care.
Of finding out they're a pig in a farm.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
And then a bunch of other people would adapt themselves to be serene
yeah,
about it.
if you think about
I think it would be a midwit thing where the dumb person and the white enlightened person would be like, yep, I'm just a pig in a farm. And then the midwits are freaking out about it and having an existential crisis.
That's a good point, actually. I mean, if you think about it, we all end up as worm food anyway.
Yeah.
What's the difference? But what I don't like is if we all are on a pig in a conscious farm, then why do we have to fight these wars and kill each other? For over like racial differences and shit. Like, can we just stop doing that if we're all pigs in a farm anyway?
In a world with less and less common, but a world with any limited scarcity, and also, I think it's
insecurity.
No,
lack of God, nihilism, lack of purpose.
There might be some. Maybe I'm like thinking too poorly of humanity. But maybe it's just some very deep biological human impulse to fight like that. To pick sides, to have that kind of tribal divide.
But don't you think that's just like a problem that could be solved if we could conceptualize
if people get rich enough, they stop caring about it. And many of the people in the world are so rich that they don't care about it. So maybe it is just like a poverty thing, and if you just dump enough money on it, though, you know what it will be? Instead of like engaging in this African war in the Sahel, they'll both be just engaged in like a rap battle music video.
Dance off.
Yeah.
Exactly, which is what I'm saying, is like at the end of the day, it's all just spiritual battles, is it not?
Yeah.
Like every war is ultimately just a spiritual battle if everything's downstream from culture and aesthetics.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. It all comes down to. So it's like, why? So when I say, doesn't it bother you that we're all pigs in a farm? What I'm really saying is, yeah, okay. If it doesn't bother you that we're pigs in a farm, then why are we killing each other? Like, why are we fucking trying to rule over each other? Why can't we just?
I don't know. What I'm getting at is I don't think that like a kumbaya, everyone getting along, chilling out, is actually a natural default state for man. But that's how I feel about people in the abstract. On an individual level, I love everyone. So maybe I'm being dishonest. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too small-minded about it. I see as war and killing as being like the weather, about your natural progression of age, the moods of people.
That's not why I see war and killing as.
What?
What I see war and killing as is like, let's say you needed a job, right?
Yeah.
And let's say you had kids and a wife, right?
Yeah.
And you went to a job interview and you see another guy at that interview office who is interviewing for the same job.
Like, would I kill him? Is it driven out of scarcity?
Yeah, I mean, would you? I would think about it. I would be like, I kind of want to fucking kill this guy.
If there's a scarcity, I think the bigger one might be social scarcity, but I don't know if that's true.
But it's all bullshit. If it's social scarcity, because the reason why you want to say I don't know if that's true is because social scarcity is like bullshit.
I think it's actually a way big. Like in my life, lack of social perks has been a way bigger issue in my life than lack of food. I have never, even when I'm absolutely dead broke, I always eat multiple meals. I'm perfectly fine. I'm always in a warm house. I know I'm still lucky in a lot of ways, but that's downstream of living in America. I've wanted for social status. I've wanted for social luxuries way more than I've ever wanted for anything I actually needed. Any necessity of life. And that's largely enabled by being American.
Yeah. Honestly, you know what's funny?
Like I feel like I have been dead broke, literally $0 to my name, debt, homeless, but not really homeless because I had enough friends that I was just couch surfing all the time. So I'm not a real homeless person. I would never wear out my welcome. I basically was living for free with friends and living for free off of food from food pantries. I mooch off
Soup
of friends
kitchens.
by using, because I'm a very good cook, I would show up at a friend's house and say, let me cook with your food, buy food, and I'll cook with it. And I had zero food. I just said, like, let me have some of your food and I'll cook a meal. And I've never lacked, I mean, I'm also young, but I've never lacked in that respect. The things I've always felt like I was lacking was some things of social status, significance, positional goods with other people. I've never been like, I want to fuck this person up because I don't have enough to eat. It's always been, I want to fuck this person up to try to socially advance, or more often because I feel slighted or embarrassed and I feel like I've lost social standing.
Over bullshit, like non-material, like abstract reasons.
Bullshit, abstract stuff is absolutely fucked. Maybe I think for every single American, even people poorer than me, darker than me, oftentimes social things have weighed on them heavier.
I mean, let's be honest. If I had a shotgun and I was living in like Tennessee and I saw some asshole like breaking into my house, I don't know if I'd want to shoot him right away. I'd be like, you know, like I would want to like be like, hey, get the fuck out, so I don't shoot you. But I'd probably shoot right away, you know, because I don't know, especially if you have kids in the house, you gotta shoot. Which is like, you know, it really, what you're saying, you may not think of it as a life or death situation, but through enough chains of abstractions, it ultimately is life or death.
Yeah.
Every time, like, you make decisions like, do I want to fuck this person up over, what am I doing it for? Survival? Survival? I never had to fuck a person up for survival. What are the kinds of people who do have to fuck a person up for survival? Like ex-convicts? Or like single mothers, you know?
Yeah, people in other countries, or just very chaotic social environments. How are we doing on time?
Yeah, we're about ready to wrap this up. So this is a very stimulating and a high energy, engaging episode.
Yeah, it's a very good episode, I think.
Yeah. We've got some good garlic bread.
I think if anything, this has been our best episode yet.
Yeah. The last episode that we just did got like just a huge boost of views, and I was like, I don't know where it came from, but whatever, I'll take it. So until next one, God willing, we'll see you in the next one, guys. Much love.
Good night.
Hope you eat some good food, drink some wine. Peace.